All right, there we go. Peace, Herut. Peace, everyone in the space.
Peace, everyone.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Yeah. I'll be out around early. You was here from 7:12. All right, give thanks.
Wow.
Peace, Chief. You up? Yeah, but so how did your day go, Abba Herut?
I'm sorry, Master Menyelek. My apologies. What was the question again? My apologies.
Yeah, I was asking how your day went, but I think there's an echo.
Whoa.
I heard an echo.
Yeah. Interesting. It went pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
Went pretty good, but it was definitely interesting. I thought I was gonna be late, but I put y'all first and got here. So I'm like, woo. Yeah, someone got a shot. So thank God I had to reroute. I had to reroute things. So I was able to do that. But give thanks. How about your day? How was your day so far?
My day was good. I had a lot of well, my strong it was kind of different because classes started up, and I was trying to not trying, but I was working it all into my regular schedule. But thankfully, all of the classes I got accepted into, they're like pretty sectioned off into times where they were open. Fridays I don't have any classes, so I have time to really set myself for getting ready for Shabbat and everything. So I'm thankful for that.
Right.
Yeah, my day went well.
That's good. That's good. It was tired. Of course, every morning I started 3 o'clock in the morning. It's tiring. By the time 9 o'clock gets, I'm like, oh my God. But yeah, I got that strength to continue.
Yeah, man. That's you gotta push through it. You know. I see everybody piling in.
They piling in.
Peace, talk to speakers. Peace, Yakira Eden, Nile, Sister Yafe. Peace, Mayuba. Yeah, welcome everybody to the space. You already know what to do. Like, share. Make sure that you're not hoarding everything. Because there's a lot of good things that happen in the chat as well.
Right.
That everyone doesn't always get to see, like if they're listening to it.
Right.
So being able to participate in the chat is a good experience when you get it live. But we gotta open up the space, give thanks to the Most High Yah, and give thanks to Chief Yuya for putting everything together, being the chief Jegna, chief coordinator. What else we got? We got a review, a good strong. The sisters did wonderfully last strong. Safta Hava and Sister Maria. They were talking about moving forward with a level of fearlessness. And we touched on a lot of different topics. Even the nervousness of Safta Hava being on for the first time. But she was good.
Yeah.
If she didn't say anything, you'd be like, oh, okay, they brought the ring out.
Right.
Ring out to do the home run.
Right. All she has to do is just pretend like she's talking to her grandchildren. She'll be okay. And it's not her first time. She's done it before, but give thanks. Give thanks to both of them last week. Yes.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, man, they touched on some good points. Brother Zach, always coming through with that fire.
Oh, yeah.
He built on the importance of balance.
Right.
And why we all need to have a level of balance and being able to do some self-assessment to see just where you're at and appreciate where you're at and the tools that you've actually been given and the support you got to help you to stand upright and walk upright, not be stumbling and fumbling all over the place, which is what a lot of people fear when they first start out on just getting their life together. You realize you got to make a change and do better.
Right.
But you're afraid of that first step because you're like, oh, well, what if I fall? What if I stumble? Or what if I make a mistake?
Right.
Like that fear of messing up that he had brought up. There's a lot of fears that keep people from moving forward, and they were addressed last strong.
But the fear should move you, like you said, like they were saying last week with Akota Maria and Safta Sapta Hava, is that you have to be able to move beyond the fear, and then that way you develop the courage. It encourages you. You know, I know for me early on, that's what it happened for me, is to move beyond that. And so I give thanks for when they did a segment on that was a perfect topic on fear. Definitely, I can recollect on some things that I went through and had to get through it. So give thanks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. And fear is a good sign that you're alive too. It's not supposed to stop you. It's just like a signal. You know,
it's like what you're made of.
It's not like one of those things. Say again?
Yeah, it's like what you're made of. It's like what you're made of.
Yeah. Yeah, it shows you what you're made of. And it shows you when to be smart too. Because there's some fears, like, I ain't fighting no great white shark. You know, some things where it's like, okay, I understand why I'm afraid. But there are other times where you're not sure why you're afraid. And what they were building on was a lot of times that fear comes from a lack of knowledge.
Right.
You know, you didn't do the knowledge, you're not sure where you're at, and you're very uncertain. And you can let it eat at you if you're not humble enough to just seek an elder or seek guidance. And Aki El Karar, you know, he brought it with his segment. You know, he's building on Dr. John Henry Clark, you know, when he was a younger man, and just going through his whole story. And he always makes he has a way of making history interesting, which I always thought was impossible.
Right.
Because you get bogged down. Like one of the points he made is sometimes people get bogged down and intimidated, but I can't remember all of those dates. And he's like, history is more than just dates. You know, it shows you what's happened, and if you're not careful, it'll happen again. You know, for better or for worse.
Right. No, I love it when he does. Man, I wish he was in my history class. I mean, I hated history. I hated American history because it had nothing to do with me. None of my culture and everything. Like, who was that? George Washington cherry tree. Once I found out, of course, what that really meant, but I didn't know. I'm like, why the heck am I studying cherry tree and George Washington and this? And I'm like, yeah. But with Aki El Karar, what he does is he makes you want to. He's like, I never knew about that. Like when he broke down Dr. Henry Clark, it's like, wow. You know what threw me off? He had 17 children. Whoa! I never would have imagined that Dr. Clark had that many children. I mean, that was good. I mean, but see, only El Karar. He knows how to break it down. He gonna go into the archives. I already know he got a secret archives. He probably got keys to the Smithsonian, where he can go right in there and then go and grab some stuff. You're like, hey, Doc, I'll be right back. I'll bring him back. Don't worry, I'll bring him back next month. So I love it. He breaks down stuff, and I just appreciate when he does. I'm like, I gotta listen to it again because, man, he dropped some gems. He definitely dropped some gems.
Yeah. He downloading. He got the cloud like in his brain. I'm convinced the cloud is in his brain. And you would see him look up for like a couple of seconds and say, hey.
Right, in the cloud.
He did that. And then he just give you a whole college lecture, like casually. You know, like you could get a whole college lecture worth of a college course on history, just talking to him, you know, on the street. Or just like you could just bump into him in the store and you could get a college education. You know what I mean? So yeah, man, we definitely love Aki El Karar and appreciate what he does. I see a couple more people.
Yeah. Sapta Gertrude, give thanks, Sapta. You know, I'm keeping you in prayer. You know, Sapta Gertrude remind me of that favorite auntie you like going down south and visiting with, and her and Saba Walcott. It's like, I'll be down there. See you this summer. You know, it's like she got a heart of gold. I just really appreciate her, and I just want to give thanks to her and Saba Walcott as well and their family. So give thanks.
Yeah, man, for sure.
So I see give thanks to top tier speakers, Sovereign Eats, Shabbat Shalom, I see Aki Darian, give thanks.
Peace,
Shabbat
peace,
Shalom, peace. And also Abba Yada Ram, give thanks. Shabbat Shalom.
He was the first one there.
Was he? You know what? Okay.
Yeah,
I just give
first
thanks
one
again.
right and early.
Gotcha. That's right. You're right. You did say he was here. Like, that's right. You did say that. I remember that now.
Yeah, man. Yeah, we talking about the heart tonight, right? We talking about is your heart in it. And I think it's a good segue from what the sisters were building on, because like you were saying earlier, you know, that brings courage when you're able to move through that fear. It builds courage and it helps to build your character too.
Right. And what it makes me think of the Wizard of Oz. There's a deeper meaning about the Wizard of Oz, but the lion, courage, heart, lack of courage. So but there's a meaning behind that. And so it's interesting, like you said, what I appreciate about this topic is that it brings home if your heart is in it. It's about, do you strive? When Chief did his segment, I was listening to Chief's segment on let's see. It'll come to me. I'm thinking about El Karar. El Karar does that a lot. But my point is that it makes you think about your life. Why are you here? Most people don't understand when it comes to the heart. I remember Chief did Command the Day, and it was on 9/22, the perfect heart. And I really appreciate that when Chief broke that down, because I had to go back to listening, and when he did the piece, what I always appreciate when I've gone to Egypt, and I always love the weighing of the heart. And the heart, you had on the scale of Ma'at, you had on that scale, you had the feather on one side, and then you have the deceased person's heart on the other. And of course, the weighing with the heart was, your heart had to be lighter than the feather for you to make it to the next side, to go further, to elevate to the God with the Elohim, with the Almighty. And of course, if your heart is heavy, you ain't gonna make it. So now you're gonna be devoured. So that, when I go there, I've been there a couple of times to Kemet, and that's one of the stories I love. I never get tired of hearing that story. And why? Because we in this day and age, we don't talk about, people don't really realize that if your heart is corrupt, that's going to follow your actions, which is going to affect your livelihood. It's going to affect what you bring in, because your heart is heavy. What is heavy with what? It's heavy with the sentiments of the world. And even more so, meaning by that is that people don't, if your heart, when we have the topic, is your heart in it, it brings to mind for me about, like I said, are you doing it righteously? Are you trying to honor the laws of the Most High? Or are you trying to serve the world? Whereas most people don't understand, they're serving the world, thinking that they're serving the Most High. And it doesn't work. You can't straddle the fence. It's either one or the other. So I just wanted to, as we begin on this talk, this is going to be a perfect talk on the topic. And I just wanted to share that.
Right. And, when we're speaking of the heart, the Chief has taught us, I was listening to the Okan Realm, the segment that Chief did with Alim Bey, and he was talking about the heart not necessarily being, it's not really being super related to the idea of love, or especially not romantic love, as we often thought.
Right.
But the heart being the seat of intelligence, of one's intelligence, is the core that everything is coming from. Like, is where I almost said your truth, but where the truth is situated, right? And it's how you align yourself with the truth.
Right.
But if you're, like you said, if your heart is corrupted with that sediment, or at least your perception is like clouded, what's coming out of you isn't going to be pure. It's not going to be sincere. It's mainly going to be based on what you think is going to come back to you based on what you put out, as opposed to putting something out sincerely because it needs to be there.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like there was one day my mother had these two little cocker spaniels before, and one of them was by my brother and I. We lived around the corner, and there's this one of our neighbors, little boy. He just liked the dog. He always used to ask, like, if the dog, always used to call the dog the wrong name, ask if the dog was there. So we used to bring him around sometimes just so he could, because he wanted a dog. So, but one of our friends, he had a pit bull, right?
Uh-huh.
And this is like one of those big bullies. So it was happening in slow motion because I saw him bring the dog out of his sister's apartment, which is like two doors away from us, like right here. And we're like right here. And there's a car in between us. I see him come out the door with his dog or his sister's dog, and ours was off the leash. So I could already see, like, he doesn't see our dog,
Wow.
but I could see them. So like it was off the leash a little bit, it was a little slap. So as soon as those dogs met, like, his dog lunges at ours, and without thinking, I just grab. I don't know this dog, the pit bull. I just grab his collar, and I had a pit bull before, so I did what I did with my old dog, and I just made it sit down. I just grabbed the dog. I didn't really think, well, what's this puppy gonna repay me after I stopped this dog from eating it?
Right.
So without escalating the situation, I just sat the dog down and I was like, take him inside. So I was just saying that, like, it was like that. It wasn't something I had to sit down and pontificate about. Like, should I really be grabbing this dog? What if it turns around and bites my, this is my drawing hand, that I reach for this dog with.
Right, you need that hand.
Yeah, I need this, But it was an instinctive thing, and we get a lot of I like the word you use, sediment. There's a lot of sediment in between that natural response and what actually happens. That natural gut reaction, and because of that, we have to filter through all of that stuff. Because like, there's so many foul things inside of you that you've been holding on to. You don't know what's gonna come out, so you gotta think before you act, and it slows you up.
Right.
You start to hesitate a little too long. It's like you whatever you're ingesting and holding in, it could be a lot of doubt, a lot of fear, a lot of shady past experiences that you might still have certain thought patterns about, or you might be paranoid, you might have been betrayed before, you might have been hurt, you might have hurt others, like whatever's still in there that you haven't cleaned out. It can sort of mess with, like you got a dirty filter, and you're trying to filter your gut reaction, and you don't know what's the right energy to let out, because you don't have any self-respect. Respect just being to look again or to see again or being able to see the sword. You don't have no self-respect. You can't see yourself, or you don't look at yourself often enough to say that let's clean up what's going on inside there. So whatever is in your heart, you're not sure what's coming out, as opposed to moving out of a single vibration. Or as Chief was assisting us with that concept on Wednesday, and he's done it, like he always does it, but just being more conscious of being able to move on one accord as a community, but you have an internal community that may not be moving on one accord because, like, you don't look at yourself in full view. You only want to see certain parts of yourself that you like, and the other stuff is like, get in the corner, like, yeah, you pushing it with a stick or something, like, get in the room. You lock the door and you bolt it closed. But yeah, man, that's what I was thinking about. Because you had brought it up. I think it was like 2 strongs ago. This topic. When you came up with the topic, I was like, that's a good topic. It had me thinking. Ever since you brought it up, it's like, okay, is my heart in it? Is my heart in it? So, and that's what's been coming out of me a lot. Based on anytime I spoke or anytime I looked at something, it's like, okay, is my heart really in that? Like, do I really care? A lot of times I don't. Like, I don't care. It's like some people be talking to you on the phone. Just get to the point.
Right.
You're saying it in your mind. But that's what came to mind as you brought up the topic. But give thanks for that.
Yeah, it's it's interesting. As I listened as you were sharing the story about the dogs, and it's like what we do here in Anu. For those of us that are here, and then there's some that still there's others outside, especially in the audience. It's like, okay, your heart is vital. It's it's like, what do you love to do? And so, like, you and I were sharing the other day about, I live my life by what I love to do. Okay. And so it's funny because I started this out years ago when I was, I studied to be a Catholic priest, and, I was in the priesthood and everything. And it taught me a whole lot. Then, of course, if I wasn't listening to the Most High, I thought I was going to be there. But it's funny because that's not my culture. So I had to understand, I had to submit and trust, because now you're like, okay, is this the Most High talking? Is this where am I supposed to go? How am I going to start over? Start over from what? From scratch? So now it's like, what I love about this topic is because it's like, I feel times from the Most High where he pierces your heart. And what I mean by that is, it's like when he pierces, like, okay, I'm redefining, I'm molding you. Do you trust me in this process? And I'm like, yeah. So now you got to go through that level, that just like this past months ago, I think 9 months, I had to understand what trust is. And so I say that because when I started this journey, I always wanted to have the mind of the Most High. And because again, your heart, I always strive to serve the Most High. I love how Chief brought it up one time. We were in the Sabbath, and he brought up something. He said, and it you talk about something penetrates you with a word. When Chief said, "I'm a slave to the Most High." Now it's funny because most people are slaves to the world, but then when you take that word and you say, okay, I'm a slave to Most High. What does that mean? That means I'm giving my all, my heart, my will, which is developing the will. I'm giving it all. And in that process, again, going back to that building the heart. And so the Most High is, when he structures and strengthens that heart, and not just because of physical. We're not talking about the physical part. We're talking about Yah's light, the Most High's light. Now I'm surrendering. So now I have to let go of myself, and then trust, surrender to the Most High, surrender to the will of the Most High, surrender to the mind of the Most High. So when you do that, it builds within you. He builds within you this essence, his essence. It's sometimes hard for me to put in words, but the best way to describe it is, and so this is something I never would have gotten in priesthood, in Catholic priesthood. Even though I appreciate those moments, but since being in Anu and since being this journey, preparing up to Anu and being in it, I can feel that pull. So when I say, when the Most High, he pierces you, it's like, okay, you're getting it. And it's like, okay, I'll give you an example. I love my brother, Aki Zach. Remember when he did the segment Deuteronomy and Leviticus? We were in the cipher and we did that. And I remember he broke down some laws of the Most High. So I remember we were in there and he's like, okay, so we were talking about forbidden foods, forbidden stuff we can eat. So he brought down pork and said, okay, I checked that off. That ain't no problem for me. Mm-hmm. Then then chicken came. Well, my Baba got me on that. I been let go of chicken. Mm-hmm. And then he kept breaking down to some forbidden food, and then lobster and everything. No, I don't really care about lobster. Then he hit me. This is about to penetrate. This is the part where the Most High penetrates you in the heart. Then he hit me with shrimp. I'm like, oh God! Now we're talking about serving who? Am I going to serve? So now Aki Zach broke this down, and I remember it to this day. I can feel it. So my point is, when he mentioned that, and I already gave up stuff already. I don't eat a lot of stuff. I'm, darn it. But the point is, when he said it, I automatically I didn't have to fight myself. I wasn't restless. No problem. I let it go. Why? Because I don't want to offend the Most High. So I had no problem letting it go. Just like when I remember my Baba got me on about letting go chicken. I love some Popeyes chicken. Not KFC. I love the Popeyes. And I can tell you, I love it, but I can't eat it. Why? Because when the Most High tests you and you say, okay, are you wanting to let this go? So now, this is part of the piercing of the heart. So now you're going to be tested. So now you have to let it go. It may be let go of that woman. I went through that too. One of my exes, I'm like, oh my God, it was good. But guess what? I can't serve two masters. Which one? Abba Herut, do you really trust me? Yes, Most High. Yes, I trust you. You got to let that go. So now, when you're going through this moment, this motion, and by the way, Aki Zach, I ain't gonna forgive you for that because you could have left that shrimp out. You could have put that to the side, but no, you got to add it in there with the lobster and the oysters and stuff, which I anyway. Nothing. You know how
don't shoot the messenger.
Mess the whole situation. But now we're trying to get our people to understand. If your heart has got sediments of the things you don't want to let go, the things, because again, if you're going to build this relationship, going back to the weighing of the heart.
Yeah, so now, I'll be y'all around saying, you love that cocktail sauce, don't you?
Heck yeah. Heck yeah. That cocktail sauce, heck yeah. Sometimes I don't need the cocktail sauce. And see, I had a place where I got the jumbo shrimp. Jumbo is just, man. And Aki El Karar, you know what it's a place in Chicago. He knows about it. Herut's got their shrimp. But anyhow, he knows. But the point is, I had no problem letting it go. Mm-hmm. Do I still love it? Yeah, but I don't love it enough to serve the Most High. I don't love it enough because why? Now I know that this is forbidden food. It was other things he brought up, but the point is, am I willing to let it go? So now I let it go. I let go anything that holds me back from what? Elevating to his mind. Elevating, making my heart, like Chief would say, making it lighter. Mm-hmm. Because we're all going to go to a judgment. And if anything, black people know about judgment. But we forget. It's funny what black people say. Well, they'll commit a sin or they'll eat the pork chop. And by the way, I remember what pork chops used to say, even though it's been over many, many years. I remember with I used to love center cut pork chops. I can't eat it no more. Why? It's not good for me, and it's a forbidden food. But now, I love how black people say this. Well, God knows my heart. Mm-hmm. I'll bless it, but God knows my heart. Yeah, God knows your heart, but he knows your heart is ratchet. You're ratchet. Mm-hmm. You're evil. That's why you ain't got a man. That's why you got problems. You don't have no money. You're broke. You're living from paycheck to paycheck. Your kids don't trust you. They out there shooting. I had to go through 2 shootings today. I navigated, but why? Why is that happening? But God knows my heart. I can still eat that pork chop. I can still eat that chitlins. Ugh, God, people, ugh. I can eat that lobster. I can smoke that loud. I can smoke those cigarettes. I like me some Hennessy. I'm going to drink it and get drunk. But is that what the Most High wants you to do? So now, what does this tie into the heart? Is your heart in it? My heart is into the Most High, period. I give thanks because the Most High, he always listens. He hears me, but I want to have this is this relationship. And it's about building and developing this relationship. And I'm working on right character. So we can't have that without building the heart. Without, as Chief would say, do you want to be right? Do you strive to do right? I love it how we broke it down in the command today. Most people don't strive to be right. So that's where it's about. So I know I messed some people up. Today's Friday. They had that catfish. Oh, that's a forbidden food too. Just thought that. I used to like catfish. Didn't like the bones. But it's a forbidden food. But I know somebody's watching this show or they're watching the future and they're being like, oh, shoot. Girl, don't worry about it. God will forgive me tomorrow. No, it's about now. It's about now.
Right. They'll probably be like, well, starting tomorrow, I won't eat any more catfish. I'll finish this one. Because I'm already halfway done.
Right.
I had a similar experience, going through the same class. It was conk for me. It was definitely conk because I don't know, for y'all it's like it's probably hard to come by, but you could get conk anywhere over here. You know what I mean? And I was already cutting down on foods that I shouldn't be eating. And I was like, when the conk came, and I was like, I shed that tip, that one tip. It's like, all right, you off the list. You know what I mean? Shrimp for me is like my body started rejecting food. The cleaner I started to make it, so the less, especially like when I stopped eating meat, because it's like systematic. Versus pork was like from as a teenager, and then it was beef, I think, then chicken, then turkey, then chicken.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, was just on seafood. But then body didn't want shrimp anymore. Like if I eat it, I'd vomit it back up. It's like, well, that's off the list. My last bastion, conch. Took my conch away. But that's the thing. It was never mine. I shouldn't have been eating it in the first place. But that's how culture works, right? If your culture is based on what's going on around you or what's going on outside of you, then everything is cool. Whatever everyone else is doing, you got to tell him to stop before you tell me to stop. And if everyone says that, then nobody's going to really make any changes. But that's what we were talking about. Is it in your heart? You'll know when something isn't for you. And you were giving everybody flashbacks on the scrimps. I see everybody in the chat. Hold on. Oh, by the way, as you were speaking about the heart being pierced, Yahweh put in a verse, Luke chapter 2, verse 35. Yea, a sword shall pierce through thine own soul also, that the thoughts of many hearts may be revealed. And you're talking about getting through that hard shell that we often accumulate as we're walking through. And once that hard shell is pierced, you get to see what people really are. It starts to come out of the abundance of the heart. The mouth speaks. A lot of people they guard their hearts, but what they're really guarding is the dirt around their hearts. It's not really their heart itself. Or they look at that dirt as a shield to keep them from being hurt, but it's really just keeping them from growing.
Right.
Yeah. And I reminiscing on Bojangles.
And it's funny, El Carrar messed me up when he said, what is he? He said, sea roaches. I'm like, oh man.
Yeah.
Oh man. You're gonna really mess that up. Now I can't eat it at all.
Same thing with conch. The bottom feeders, the scavengers. So what are you saying to your spirit if that's what you're trying to consume? Exactly. If that's what you're saying, you subsist on. I want to eat bottom feeders. I want to eat scavengers.
Right. And it's funny, one of my professors, he broke it down that in order to elevate one's self, there of course there's foods that pork was one, and definitely shellfish. You definitely would, because it affects the aura. And also, if you're gonna, how are you gonna invite Yah into your heart if you have conch, shrimp, or sediments? Because remember, we're talking about bottom feeders, because it's low vibration, low energy, and so the Most High can't dwell there. So now, if I'm pulling on the Most High to bring light, how is He going to inhabit it in a dirty heart, and a dirty mind, and a dirty vessel?
Right.
And that goes back to what you were saying about community. See, for all the Anu people outside of Anu, this is what it means being in a community and being held accountable. And we all learning it as we came in. So this is the thing. For those who, as we'll share later on, for those who invite them in, yeah. But guess what? Don't be surprised if some things, and it may be some things you have to let, that's not always bad. Like one of the things I had to let go was, and I love platinum and bananas, but it's not as bad. It's because that was some of my taboos, not tattoos, taboos.
You tied it up?
No, I don't have tattoos. So, but that doesn't make me bad. My point is, the Most High may say, Master Menyelek, you can't eat pork and beans. Not pork and beans, excuse me. That's a bad analogy. Sorry about that. I didn't mean to use pork and beans. You may not be able to eat kale. Nothing's wrong with kale, but maybe for him, that's something that he will work out with the Most High. I'm pretty sure Chief has many taboos that he hasn't shared. But the point is, it doesn't matter. Does that stop him from growing? No. I remember how Chief grow. If not, for those who think about coming out new, you ain't gonna be the same person. You're not gonna be the same person. And again, if you grow, if you use the tools that we have, you're going to grow. If you apply them, of course, you have to apply the knowledge and infuse that wisdom and understand with understanding. You're going to grow. It's just simple. But then we are a community of, we are accountable. So that's where, like I said, going back to the topic, is your heart in it? Where's your heart at then? If it's not in it, I mean, for me, it's like, I see why people have problems. I see why.
Right. It brings me back to something in the Anu way as well, from the vision section. It's similar to the story that you told about the judgment scene, right? With Ma'at's feather and the heart being weighed. And it's a similar thing that's going on with Obatala lowering the chain. And that's something that Chief had spoken about in terms of that that DNA strand that it's referring to. You know, he lowered the chain, but he didn't pull anyone up. He lowered it down so you can actually grab onto it yourself and hoist yourself up. Because if you're not really if you're not doing your own work, then you're not gonna grow. You know, like Chief would always tell us, like he doesn't give us the direct answer. He has it, but what use would it be to just give us the answer?
Right.
And it's like, okay, it's like being spoiled almost. Like you have a child, it's like, oh, Daddy, I want this. It's like, all right, here you go. But Daddy, I want that. All right, here you go. It's like, oh, I can get anything I want. So not only do I not appreciate what I'm getting, but I also look at the person who's giving it to me like a sucker. Like, oh, I don't really have to treat you any sort of way because I don't have to earn anything. Like
Right.
everything's just given, everything's free. And there was something else from that same chapter that I wanted to go over.
And also, like you said about the chain didn't touch the earth.
Mm-hmm.
It was still suspended because why? You have to reach up. You have to reach up in order to receive, and that's the thing. Most people want the Most High. They want them to come down to them, but they don't want to reach up. And I'm not saying we're talking about literally. We're just talking about in the allegory. But it's about: am I reaching towards the Most High? Am I really striving?
Right. And grabbing the chain wasn't enough. You got to climb.
Yeah.
You got to climb. Nobody's here to work for you. That's a sick idea that we've developed of our elders, particularly of men. Chief has said it many times, a lot of times, because he does a lot of he did a lot of segments for free. Like he would just give out really good information for free. People would look at him like I know because I give information out for free. You look at me like you're trained to look at most melanin dominant men. And you're like, oh, he's just a sucker and a simp. I can take whatever I want and treat him however I want. And that's not the case. You have to really, again, what's in your heart. Only a person with a lot of wickedness and a lack of compassion would treat someone like that when they're going out of their way to help them. So that segment on vision says, oh, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, I was just adding to, goes back to, I know that probably Yafe will put it in the chat. The Bible verse is choose Most High first, and everything else is given unto you. Put the Most High, put Yah first. Put him. Again, it's a very simple verse. When you put the Most High first, and then everything else, and I appreciate that verse. Things now, some things you have to wait for. So what? You have to wait. But the point is, the Most High knows what you desire. The Most High knows what you want. He knows your strengths and your weaknesses. The funny thing about people they don't understand is, and I had this conversation. A lot of people they think that they can do the wretchedness, and the Most High don't see it. And it's like they don't understand there's consequences. Like I noticed today, everybody with this loud, okay, the stuff that
smelling it
people
all day.
smell, huh?
You be smelling it all day.
Oh, I smell. Oh gosh, I should have dropped easily for a drug test because I smell it so much. I smell it every single day, and it irritates me because I'm like, oh my God, he's smoking. And so even cigarettes, it's like, ugh. But my point is, now this is a funny thing about it, and this pertains to the heart. I knew it. I knew. Thank you, Akoti Yafe. Matthew 6 verse 33. Seek first the kingdom of the righteousness, and it shall bring. Wait a minute. And all things will be given to you as well. Yes, give thanks. That was Matthew's. Give thanks. I knew you're gonna find it for me. And that's one of my favorite verses because that verse alone says it all. But going back to what I was sharing about, it's amazing. Darn it, I missed my thought. The interesting thing behind all this is that people will like smoking. That's smoking or loud, whatever. They'll eat, whatever it is, and they don't understand that health element is now again we're talking about, is your heart in it? You're destroying your temple, or you're diabetic, or have health whatever health challenge you have, but then you're contributing to it by either smoking. Obesity is a big thing now. Your diet, no exercise,
Right.
and they know what it is, but they
Mm-hmm.
continue to do it anyway.
Right. Like
So going back to your
smoking is a
heart,
big thing because you look at the pockets and they got literal black organs on the packages in some places. Like they this will kill you. And you just ignore that and just open it and say, "But God knows my heart."
Exactly. Exactly. But that just shows
Yeah,
how
right.
far down deep most people have gone. And then
Mm-hmm.
at the same time, they want to know why they're not blessed, or there's nothing working for them. Well, you the Most High is not there. He doesn't hear you. Your heart is heavy. You don't want to let it go. We were just talking about earlier about letting go shrimp and conch and pork. But we got some, and this is the thing that I want to put the message for those. Why is your heart heavy? Why aren't you not willing to let that go?
Yeah,
And
well, you
I
just
know
said it.
it's a
It's a lot
pleasure.
of addiction.
We were talking about pleasure earlier.
Yeah, you just said it. It's a lot of addictions. And the thing is, people, this culture really, I don't know, it's real in cities where people think it's natural to introduce children to poisonous things at an early age.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like they actually, I always used to be amazed that people would consider chips and candy and pizza and everything else that pollutes the body as children food. Oh, that's just what children eat. You know, oh, I got to get his snacks for school. But you pack in a bunch of drugs. Basically, you filling that bag with drugs because the only thing they really wanted for is the sugar.
Yeah.
You know, sugar is legal. I always sugar is legal crack. You know, you want to be able to sell crack to children, so you just put white sugar in everything. You know, and it's very telling when people get older, because when you tell them you shouldn't be eating that, it's like, what you mean I can't eat this? You never supposed to eat it. You know, you should have never had it. But your parents didn't teach you any better. They didn't say don't eat this, eat this. You know, people are becoming more health conscious now, but that even puts more of an indictment on those who refuse to eat healthily, even though they know what's good and what's not good. You know, and then you have people still capitalizing on counterfeiting healthy food. And another thing that Chief had pointed out, you know, you want to eat stuff that looks like white people food. So now you got fried chicken, cauliflower made to look like fried chicken. You know, or you got your vegan pizza. You know, well, it looks like pizza, so I can trick myself into thinking I'm eating pizza. It's like, are you eating something that's life-giving, or are you eating something that you know you only ate because you were in survival mode? You know,
how about vegetarian? How about vegetarian pork chops?
What?
You'd be surprised the stuff that they come up with. I'm
vegetarian
like, wait a minute.
Pork chops.
I'm still.
I feel like I almost created a black hole by saying that the name of that food.
What? It gets deeper. How about turkey chops? How about?
Oh, I heard about turkey chops.
How about turkey
bacon
links? How about? How about turkey ribs? How the heck do you eat turkey? What? But they can make anything, and this is why.
Try to make what's heavenly look earthly, and that way you can keep yourself tethered to the earth.
And I understand now, in the divine math in the divine mathematics, is why the 85% are blind, deaf, and dumb. Because one, that 10% that keeps them dumb, they know that 85% want to be dumb. They don't. What their heart is in being in the world. And so going back to our topic, is your heart in it? Yeah, your heart could be in it, either in the world, which is evil, which you're going to get all the evil stuff, or your heart is going to be in the righteous way. And so, unfortunately, with us being in our new, we're not liked. Our chief did that when he shared in Command a Day. When you start, your heart starts getting lighter. You're not favorable in the world. You're looked at as a problem. And I love it because Chief may even mention it's like y'all worship too many gods, weird, strange gods. One of your gods is named Bargio Rodrigo Borgia. I know it.
Caesar Borgia.
Yeah, Pope Julius II. But they don't know that portrait that people go in all black people's homes, or most of them. You're worshiping the wrong God. That's why you're messed up. That's why your heart, because you don't even know you're worshiping the wrong gods anyway. So now, going back to letting go, you don't want to let go. No, I'm going to keep that portrait, because that portrait has been in my family. That was my mama's portrait. That was her mama's portrait. That was my great-great-grandmother's. I'm like, oh, so that's why on the plantation that's why it's easy being a slave now. We're just going to keep breeding them like animals. And people are comfortable being animals. Remember, God knows my heart. He knows that I go to church every day. I'm sorry, not every day, every week. We got Esther coming up. I love it, the ones that come up, they go twice a year. Esther and Corruptmas. I just call it Corruptmas in December 25th, Corruptmas. I don't even say the word anymore. I just call it Corruptmas. Those are only 2 times, because they gotta show that, okay, God, I'm here. Oh yeah, he knows. He sees you every day. The one that you serve, he knows, because like you just said about you said about the sugar. Oh yeah, I see the kids coming out of school every day, hyped up, wild up. I mean, sugar.
Right.
Pop, juice. I mean, sugar, crack. They just feed it. They love it. Mama's giving the baby.
This one sister was with, I wasn't as health conscious as she was at the time, and I was just looking around. I think we were out in the supermarket or something. I was like, why are children's nose always so runny? It's like, oh, it's all the mucus from the sugar. Like, what? It's like, sure enough, that's what it was. Their nose always runny because they always getting, this fix. It's a side effect. Their little bodies is trying to expel all the sugar, but they just were running around just licking. Anytime the snot reaches their lips, they just lick it, and they looking around for where they could get some more sugar. They're just raising little crackheads.
Exactly.
And you wonder why you grow up to have so many addictions, but you already start out getting fed addictions. The milk you drink as a baby is oftentimes manufactured.
No, it is manufactured. It is manufactured.
Yeah, a lot of them don't even get breast milk for as long as they should get it, or if at all. Some of them they just buy some formula. Similac,
they lock it up. They steal it so much they have to lock the Similac up. They don't lock up breast milk, but they'll lock up some Similac for them not to steal it. Yeah,
man, that's what we was talking about. Having an idea of what it is that's made for you, was designed for you, as opposed to not like if I charge my phone right now and I just use any old random charger that doesn't have the right voltage, I'll destroy my battery. But again, you gotta respect what it is that you're dealing with. You can't just look at your heart as something that can just take anything. And unfortunately, most people don't look at how things are designed. Especially because we live in such a microwave society nowadays. There was like a brief moment where because some elders is like, well, don't you plug this inside the TV and the TV work? You know, and I'm supposed to just it's a remote, ain't it? It's supposed to change channel. Ain't it a remote? Like, pops, that's the remote for the radio. You know, it doesn't work on the TV. But I thought it was remote control. You know what I mean? And then there's a moment where people get a little smarter. They're like, oh, I shouldn't use this for this. I should use this for over there. And then it gets to the point where some people who respect it, where the way things are built and designed, and they want to make sure they get everything lined up based on its design. And there's just others who just like just plug in anything. If it fits it and it says it's charging, then it'll work. And then a couple months later, I don't know what's wrong with my phone. Every 2 seconds it's always dying. It's because you shorted out the battery. Your battery is swollen up because you leave it on charge overnight with something that it wasn't supposed to be charging off of in the first place. Because it wasn't designed to be plugged into that.
Right.
And that's something that's touched on in this segment in Our New Way, where it says the law of correspondence reminds us that what we experience on the outside of our being reflects what we're experiencing on the inside of our being. Our outer vision is a product of our inner vision, and vice versa. Both central and outward must be directed and guided by a force that is constricted to neither locus. So it's not constricted to the inside or the outside. In order to materialize a vaster earthly vision, we must first connect with the secret divinity that has been placed inside of us at the inauguration of our creation. To align with the vision of our God, we must travel deeply inward to where Yah has deposited itself. Our heart dimension holds the will of Yah within us. The seed of soul deliberation resides in our heart. Through our obedience to what is disclosed to us in Revelation, that seed grows and becomes the primary orientation for our worldview, right? So what's supposed to be there is already there in our heart. It's like what we were speaking about last time. We already have everything that we need. The black print has already been given to us. And we keep going off the rails because we're in an environment that's saturated in rebellious living. Everything that, like, how many adjustments did you have to make once you started moving based on these laws? Everything you realize when you go out, oh, none of these people cook what I eat. Oh, that's strange. But I can't eat out anymore. I have to go to the grocery store and buy my own food. You go to the grocery store, all of this food has been like, I tried to buy trail mix the other day, and I had to take everything back to the store because everything said made on a machine that contains milk or that's used to process milk or soy. And it's like, you can't touch anything that's not corrupted by something you're not supposed to touch. Everything is designed to be unclean. And it's made by people who observe these laws.
Right. To keep them in that low vibration. And that the thing is, people don't see it. And it's interesting because we don't respect the Most High. We got one heart. We treat it as if we got a load of them in the house or hanging up in the closet somewhere. And we don't understand the intelligence of the Most High. Okay, we get up. You notice we don't have to get up and wind our heart to make sure it's working. Okay, wait a minute. I'll talk to you in a minute, but I got to wind my heart up to make sure it's right. Moved. We take it for granted. We take it for granted that our lungs are breathing. It's extracting and contracting. We take these things for granted. But then what happens? And it does happen to some. And it's going to happen eventually. Your heart stops. You do. What if I was the Most High, I would start messing with black people. I was like, Oh, you want to mess with that cigarette, huh? Let me help you out with something. I just haven't stopped for a moment. They'll be walking like, what happened? My heart stopped.
I mean, there's no way to say that doesn't happen.
we don't think that way. It's like, okay, most I'm sorry. Oh, you made it stop. That was too long. You can't be messing with me like that. But you're taking it for granted.
Mm-hmm.
My hope for our people is stop taking your life for granted. We think we got time. There ain't no time. They don't understand. People don't understand that things are changing as this pandemic unfolds and it's continuing. As it continues, they think we got time. God knows my heart. But then you hear the story of that person's not here anymore, or that person, or the death tolls keep changing, and we think we got time. Like you said, what about? That's why I'm sharing. I share with my clients about those who smoke. I said you better stop, because one day, what happens? You get that. My mom got this one time, and she didn't tell me until 2 years later. Yeah, it was 2 years later. She used to smoke cigarettes, and this before she transitioned. And one day she just stopped, cold turkey, and I'm like, huh? Now all my life she smoked. All my life she smoked. All of a sudden, she didn't tell us why. Found out. The doctor told her one thing. He said, "Miss, if you don't stop smoking, guess what? You're gonna be out of here." That was enough for her. But the point is, I wish she had heard it years later. But my point is, some of us that'll work. Most of us not gonna work. Most of us is gonna have to go through a moment like we do, and that way, okay, instead of people going to the movies, black people are superstitious anyway. They need to play that scene of the scales and see, since black people think they're gonna see Peter anyway. They think they're gonna see Peter gonna be at the keys of the kingdom of heaven, and they think so. You gotta mess with black people's mind, because that's where they at. Have Peter right there, and like weigh their heart. Now you notice if you had a long line, because black people used to wait in a line anyway to go get something. So now you've been waiting in line, and they see the person ahead of them, and they're like, oh, I know they're going to heaven, and their heart starts dropping because the feather is like, it's too heavy, and like, so now the devourer is going to eat them. So now you like 5 people behind them, and you were like, oh hell no, I know him. If his heart ain't right, oh shoot, dude, I'm number 99 point. You want to go ahead of me? Because now, see, all we have to do is that. Some of us like, oh shoot, I can't believe Mr. Johnson. Mr. Johnson used to take me to school when I was shorty, and now so now you start seeing a couple people like they go to, like, you know how to mess black people up? Like they go to court. Guilty. Life. I bet you that they need that change. Some of them need that change. But the point is, you ain't got no more time. Time is now. What are you going to do with it? What happens right now? So what do you need to do? Change. Is it really worth eating that pork chop or all that, like you said, crack cocaine, sugar?
You ask somebody,
is it really worth it?
You ask somebody that, they be there like shaking like a crackhead, like, I don't know.
You can't ask a crackhead that, because they're going to make a decision and then they're going to go back. But I'm talking about a regular person. If you ask them,
I ain't talking about no crackhead. I'm talking about a quote unquote regular person.
Okay.
You try to take something away from them that they've had day in and day out their whole life. You try to take that away right now, and they'll kick and scream and fight like hell to keep it. They come up with all the whys in the world. Why I gotta do that? Why can't we? Why? You know this will kill you, right? Yeah, something gotta kill you. You gotta let what you love kill you. You know what I mean?
I ain't gonna live forever. Oh, I heard the elder say, You're gonna die someday. I ain't gonna live forever. I'm like, wow, really? What happened? You only got one day. Now what?
Right.
Oh.
But it brings you back to that attachment to the earthly body. You know, it brings you back to that investment in what's down here, you know, which you can see. Even with I know it was a funny anecdote, but it's true. Like, Mr. Johnson, you don't know what's going on. Like, Chief was just speaking to us about, he had just brought up David, right? When Samuel had gone there to basically anoint him to be king. And Yah was telling Samuel, like, you know, man looks at the outside, but he looks at the heart. And you look at Mr. Johnson, you think he was cool because he did something cool for you. You know, but you don't know Mr. Johnson was shopping. You know, he drops everybody to school, and some people he don't take straight to school. You know, some people he take around the corner to do something to them and then drop them to school and say, this will be our little secret. Now, you don't know what's going on with Mr. Johnson. You know what I mean? So that's another thing too. Like we look at even with your mother, there was a verse that we had spoken about before too. And we were talking about out of the abundance of the heart when we were speaking yesterday. We were speaking last night, and the verse comes around a time when Yeshua was in this was around the Sabbath. And Pharisees kept asking him, you know, like, is it lawful to heal on the Sabbath and stuff like that? And it was like, he's casting out devils in the name of Beelzebub, prince of devils. Like, it's hating, you know what I mean? So no matter what he did, they always had something to throw at him. And they were talking about needing a sign, you know, like, show us a sign so we'll know. And he's like, yeah, you're looking for a sign. You don't need a sign. Do you really need a doctor to tell you that a cigarette is going to kill you? You really need them to confirm that you're going to die if you keep smoking.
Right. It's on the packs. It's cigarettes. It says it on there.
Right, but you didn't care until the consequences were knocking on your door. You know, like, even I could hear that grandfather clock loud as ever in the background, but it's like a reminder. It's like that TikTok, like, you ain't got all day.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. I wanted to read some of that chapter. From verse 33, and Yeshua speaking, and he says, either make the tree good and his fruit good, or else make the tree corrupt and his fruit corrupt. For the tree is known by its fruit. O generation of vipers, how can ye, being evil, speak good things? For out of the abundance of the heart the mouth speaketh. A good man out of the good treasure of the heart bringeth forth good things, and an evil man out of the evil treasure of his heart bringeth forth evil things. But I say unto you that every idle word that men shall speak, they shall give account thereof in the day of judgment. For by thy words thou shalt be justified, and by thy words thou shalt be condemned. Right? So, again, what's in your heart? And it's not about what you profess to everyone else. You know, what's really going on inside of you, and what has been placed there by the Most High that you keep ignoring. You keep choosing something else.
Exactly. And it's interesting because the Most High always sends us someone to remind us. We always get a reminder. Even most of us don't see it, but we get a reminder. Okay, are you in the right path? Are you minding what you're doing? Are you, and so, it was in the 31st verse, a good man out of the good treasures of the heart bringeth forth good things, and an evil man out of the evil treasures bringeth forth evil things. That's what we're seeing in the world, because the persons whose heart is the settlements, the evil, this world, which is evil, that man's, that's what his treasure is. His treasure is what? In the world.
Right.
And he's going to produce that. So going back to, is your heart in it? Yeah. Your heart is in the world. And people don't really understand that, because it's interesting, especially Christians. They really think, I watch, it's interesting. They think because you go to church and they read a Bible verse, and then you go to work or whatever, your friend's house, and you do something that's evil, and it clearly states this. It's not in Chinese, even though there's a Chinese Bible too, but it's in English. And mind you, there was a time over 100 years ago, black people were illiterate. They didn't read. So now,
a lot of white people were illiterate. They couldn't read either.
Huh?
I said a lot of white people were illiterate too. You know, they were going off of what they heard.
Yeah.
Until it was translated.
Exactly.
Because unless you were rich enough to get taught Latin, you know, you didn't know what that book was saying. You just knew what people told you it was saying.
Right. And that's the thing, because the priest was the one, when they would go to the temple to receive the word, and of course when you're righteous, when you're getting righteous knowledge, then it's about applying that knowledge. But then today you don't have, the thing is, it's about applying the knowledge. Again, going back to, I remember when Chief mentions, okay, who you're serving. Most people don't realize you're serving that lower nature, that lower vibrational demon, and you're not serving the Most High. But they're, because of, again, your heart is heavy and it's polluted. Your whole temple is clouded. The Most High doesn't dwell there. It's a vessel empty, like a corpse, like my son loves the zombie movies. Yes, you're like a zombie. You're moving around with no soulless, because the soul, the residence of the Most High, the light of the Most High is not even there. So now you're just robots reacting.
Right. And
then you wonder why, or for some, they wonder why things are not working out. It's not going to work out. Because one, where is your heart? Your heart is into the things that you want. So you're going to get it either way. Either it's of this world or the Most High. Again, what fruit are you producing?
Right.
And that goes back to your heart. And so that's why I'm grateful for Anu. I'm definitely give thanks to Chief, because with the Anu way and the 14 keys and solutions, and definitely the segments, and then also giving us the ability to share this with the community, that listen, we're in this space to correct our wrongdoing. I want to follow. I'm striving to cultivate the Most High in my life, but more importantly, my actions. So how am I doing it? I'm striving because I'm applying the knowledge and drawing that, and then with the meditations, I know what gods I'm not going to serve. I'm not going to serve those lower vibrational gods, which most people do. And I'm here to elevate. But then again, the Most High, going back to that penetrating, it's not done yet. That was 3 years ago's penetration. Now what? Now he's going to pierce the heart again, because now we're always growing. Look at us.
You're always you don't get clean all at once.
Exactly.
So even if you remove one or two things, or sacrifice one or two things that you're doing, we're also healing from a sick culture. And that sick culture, like Chief would outline in solutions, you know, it's self-regenerative. And unless you can remove all of the things that generate that messed up behavior, you know, or those habits, that you're harboring all of these different hankerings and addictions and lower vibrational spirits. You hold on to all of those things, like there's no way that you're gonna get clean because you keep tracking dirt. Like you ever have that one guest where you tell everybody to take their shoes off before they come in your house, but you have that one guest who always tries to push past you, and then when you put your foot down, like, nah, take your shoes off. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot. You didn't forget. You just used to living dirty.
Right.
And you used to ignoring laws. If I can get away with ignoring a law before it's enforced, then it doesn't apply to me. You know, or if I can argue a point and the other person doesn't, like, they just don't argue. If I'm the person who has the last say, that means I won the argument. That means I'm righteous. And it doesn't mean that you still broke the law. You just met someone who can't debate as well as you can, or someone who's not interested in wasting their time and energy, or someone who's hard at it. You know, and Chief also spoke about the heart of stone. You know, and Most High was like, I will remove your heart of stone from you and replace it with a heart of flesh. You know, that was an eye opener in that study session as well, because it's like, oh, okay, this is something that it is not uncommon as people would like to believe. But if we like to live in denial, you know, you believe that something can happen, but it just can't happen to you.
Right.
You always walk around like this thing is real, or when you see it, it's like, oh wow, oh, look at them. They got no home training, you know. But it's so common, and it's something that, like we were talking about last time we were on, the battle is always with us. So even if you remove one or two bad habits, you still got others that keep tracking in dirt.
Right.
You know, you might tell out of 20 people, you might get 10 people to start taking their shoes off when they come inside. 6 or 7 people listen to you sometimes, and 3 just insist on coming in every time with their dirty shoes on. Those are the easy ones to get rid of because they're at least upfront enough to tell you, I don't respect you.
Right.
And I'm gonna come inside this house with my shoes on. There's nothing you can do. All right, you know, don't come to my house. That's easy. But with those people who are sometimey, you know, I'll do good when I see that you're stern, but when I see that you're lax, I'll push your boundaries and see if you let up. And if you let up, then I'll just keep my shoes on. If you don't, then I'll just say it ain't that serious. Like Brother Zach was saying on first day. It ain't that serious. You ain't gonna be all that serious.
Right.
You know, but it's what's in your heart. You know, when you start out your journey, or when you do what you say you're supposed to do, or when you choose, like when you choose your career, or when you decide where you're going to settle down, or when you decide how much you're actually going to put towards your children's education, or where you're going to raise them, you know, how much thought you put in, especially as a man, how much thought you put into where you plant your roots. You know, is your heart there? You know, is your heart there, or is it life-giving, or are you just in survival mode? You live in the hood because it's life-giving, or you live in the hood because you're in survival mode and you need someplace with cheap rent? So, all right, cool. It's cheap rent. All right. There's nothing wrong with that for a time. But once you elevate yourself and you realize that, you know, I can do better, and you start doing better, are you going to stay in the hood? Right. Or are you going to move to a place that reflects your growth? And sometimes that's what trips us up too, because we don't update the way that we move through the world to reflect our growth. We want to be, I think Sister Yafe had said it in the chat the other day, you want to be the king of the trashy.
Oh, right.
Yeah, you want to stay around people who you think you're smarter than, and who you think you're even better than. You're not doing anything to improve the area, but you'll just live there and look out your window with your coffee and shake hands. Look at these niggas.
Right.
You know,
Right.
judgmental, as opposed to moving upward and realizing that, okay, there's a challenge on this new level now, and that will inspire me to keep leveling up. And that's one of the things that I like about this community. What I like about Anu is you're constantly being challenged to level up. You're never at your final stage, because there is no final stage. You just keep growing. You just keep moving.
Right.
You know, and that just speaks to the vastness of what you are. Because you thought, well, all I got to do is make some money and get a good job and be able to send my children to school. That's a good life. You know, I'll settle down there and I'll stop growing. But it's so much more to that. But what you're using, the standards that you're using to measure a good life, they don't necessarily, or they may not, or maybe they do, but they may not necessarily align with what the Creator has put inside you, that vision. And that's where we kind of trip ourselves up too. Our heart's not in it, but outwardly it looks good. You know, outwardly it looks satisfactory. And if I give this thing up, the people are gonna look at me like I'm crazy.
Right. Right. You know, I'm sitting here and I'm reading the chat. I like how Akoti Yafe put it with Psalms 51, 10, verse 10 and 11. Create in me a clean heart. This is one of my favorite verses also. Create in me a clean heart, O God, and renew a right spirit within me. Cast me not away from thy presence, and take not thy Holy Spirit from me. What I like about that is, again, because my mind is, it's that connection with the Most High that I'm striving for. Like you were saying, we're not done. This is a lifetime journey. And then going back to, I enjoy the journey. Some people just like, okay, it's like you just finish and you're done. No, this is a journey. You know, I look at it like I love going mountain climbing. I never get tired of mountain climbing, because when you climb it, yeah, it's the challenge of getting up to the top. But when you're at the top, you can see things where everybody can't see. You see, like, oh, wow, look at the little cars. But what I'm saying is that you're striving. I'm striving. I'm not satisfied. You shouldn't be. And so we're striving to be better men, Anu men and Anu women. Like Chief always breaks it down. It's like, no, y'all are you men. I'm preparing you to be Jegnas in training. That training, it's funny. I was sharing with somebody. No, that training is every day. And then we got work to do, and then we got challenges to do, and then and then it's gonna be another challenge. You got to keep going and going. Of course, for those outside of Anu, they ain't gonna be able to keep up. You know, so the thing is, you know, you asked me a question about, I love like what I do. One of the jobs I do, I love working with kids. My heart is, I love working with kids. And, you know, after retirement, I can't deal with adults no more. So what I love about kids at their younger age, they are direct. If you talking about purity of heart, they ain't corrupt by the world yet. So now they gonna like, oh, you smell. They're gonna let you know. They're not gonna hold nothing back. They're gonna let you know.
They're gonna whisper behind your back and chuckle.
Right.
And be like, it walks straight up to you. It's like, why do you smell like that?
Exactly. And I love working with the kids. But see, this is going back to my heart. I love, you know, I get paid well, but it's not because of the money. It's because I get to enjoy these beautiful little people who have not been corrupted by the world yet. Some, well, no, the ones I got, no, they haven't really, well, they're corrupted, but you don't see it yet. They still have the innocence. Okay. Because I got grade school kids. Some of them
come through with some corruptness though. Like they're direct with being a-holes. You know, because my nephew was like fight people when he was much younger. And he was like, if you let him, he would just beat the sugar honey iced tea out of you, like with a smile on his face, giggling. And he can see he's causing you pain, but he doesn't care. Like he's enjoying it. You know, so you gotta square up with him. You know what I mean? He's older now, so he doesn't do it anymore. But when he was younger, like, yeah, that's what's in my heart, violence.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
I woke up and I chose violence.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
One of my students like that.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
One of my he's a 4-year-old.
Yesterday?
Huh?
The one you told me about yesterday.
Yeah. I got 4 little ones.
Yeah,
they're 4 years old. There are 4 of them. And I was sharing with you, the mom calls him Juju. And I may have to tell the mom, don't call him. He's a feisty he's like a little snapping turtle. I'm like, you might not want to call him that name because he likes to hit the little one that gets on. I'm like, Juju, don't do that. So he'll listen to me when I tell him that, or my monitor tell me. But my point is, yeah, he's a little snapping. You know what? I just thought about the snapping turtle. Yeah, he's like a little snapping turtle. You will never know that he's a snapping turtle. He just, you know, he had rocks one time. He came on the bus with, I'm like, and we told his mom, like, you're like, yeah, he came on with some rocks. He got a whole bunch of, but again, kids, they're kids, bad or not, because I've seen some bad ones, but I can deal with them. I still love it because sooner or later, they're going to be molded into continually being bad, like society, or they can be transformed into something good. And so, within time.
Right. You can help them to channel it into something productive as well. You know, instead of trying to like put your foot down on it, because that's why a lot of us are messed up now. You know, we have something in our hearts, and the wrong person sees it, and they're like, they either overreact, they underreact, they don't react, or they try to redirect you into something that doesn't make any sense.
Right.
You know, based on what they see. You know, so Juju could be a fighter.
Right. Right.
He may be a boxer. He has no qualms about hurting or hitting people. You know, put him in a boxing class.
Right.
And teach him how to direct that energy. But you got to teach him character to go along with it.
Right.
Or else you're gonna make him a more efficient bully. You know.
Right. Well, I'm looking to work with them. They're year-round kids, so they're 4. All of them are the same age, and it's funny because the other drivers don't like that route because I have challenging youth on my route. But the beautiful thing, this is where I love going back to my heart is in it. I know I can these kids. I know I can, and I don't have any problems with them. As a driver with them. Like maybe I don't know what the other drivers had, but I don't have that issue. And when Juju that's his nickname. That's not his real name. That's his little nickname. But when he does stuff and I see it, because he sits right, I have him sit right next to me. I'm like, yeah, I see you. Yeah, and I talk to him. Yeah, I see you. What you got in your pocket? What you got in your pocket? See, I talk to them because they're little people, and so they respond, and I love it. That brightens my day because. I was a little boy, and the reason I did this, going back to my heart, isn't it? I remember my bus driver. I was in 3rd grade. I shared this with you. The only reason I did it because she had a mark on me. Her name was Marilyn. I still remember her name, 3rd grade. But she was such a positive influence. She was like my little mom, and she was my bus driver. And that is why I'm doing it, because of her. And when I met her 20-some years ago, and I told her, guess what? I'm driving the bus. You know, before I retired, and she was like, you remember me? I said, yeah. But see, this is the thing. When we talk about when you're able to transform somebody, and it starts with a child. Sometimes, it's adults, but then they remember. You never know who is going to see you. You never know who is going to touch you.
Yeah,
you never know or not touch you. You touch. You never know. Just be positive. Don't talk to them disrespectful. Don't talk. Have respect. Have dignity. And that's the part that I love. So when because the Most High, when he does with me, it's like I'm a little babe. He like, I know you screwed up, Herut. I know that you got a lesson, and I know you're not gonna do it again. Dang, you know me like that? Yes, because like you said, He created us. Each and every one of us has unique gifts and strengths and weaknesses. And so I give thanks to the Most High for forgiving me of my transgressions. When I made it, we had last week, not last week, but we had some time, and I realized reflecting on a situation that I was going through, and I really felt bad. But the point is, repent, change from your old way. Are you willing to be open to reflecting from something that you made a mistake, and are you ready to correct that? That's that heart. That's that part of our heart where we have to transform it. And then we say to the Most High, you know, I have to confess something. I don't fear the Most High. And I'll explain why. Not fearing because I fear the Most High. Because if you love the Most High with your heart, if you give, it's a love affair. It's a relationship. I have a love and respect for the Most High. So as he builds within me the heart of redemption, and that I'm trying to serve him. I'm surrendering my will to him, and I'm striving to. And this is where I appreciate our chief Jedna. He makes it, like everybody says, he makes it easy. Yeah, but you don't know. He surrenders to the Most High. What people don't see, when you have souls like our chief Jedna, when you have certain souls in the world, and they're out there, they're not that many, but they're out there. But when they serve the Most High and they give, they pour. I remember when Chief was correcting us, and he's like, I pour into you. The Most High pours into you. Why not love? Why not give? Why not surrender? Why not trust? That's made for me when I look at the Most High, and it's like, wow, you trust me with these gifts? You trust me that I'm not going to use it for the bad? I'm not going to corrupt it? Yes. And this is the thing that I invite those outside of Anu, and even us in Anu, is that we have to surrender. We have to, again, why are you serving the Most High? Give a reason. I just shared with you, I don't have a fear of the Most High. I love the Most. I wanted to have the mind of the Most High. And I still do. And I'm blessed and I'm grateful. I give thanks. I give thanks when my Baba passed. And I'll never forget that. I shared it with everyone with Chief. I didn't know who was going to teach me. And then guess what? Chief prepared me. My Baba brought me to Chief Yuya. And the love story is continuing. And then our community. My brother, Master Menyelek. Master. Make sure you put Master after Menyelek. Not because he's ego. No. He is a master. But the point is, he's striving to master his life. That's why we as we bring this to the audience and bring it that, listen, why do you exist? Some of us don't really ask in our meditations, why are we existing? Going back to Psalms 51, verse 10, verse 11. Why do you exist? Do we want to, when you do right, when you want to strive to do right, the Most High will transform you, and also the miracles that come with it. It's not because you deserve it. It's because you committed. And so before the Chief, I give thanks to the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. We said this in one of our segments, how he surrendered to Master Farad Muhammad, to someone that he gave his life. He gave his life to God. He was a slave to the Most High. And so we have a Chief Jedna that does the same thing. So he's our role model. And so we have to do the same thing. We strive for this. That's why there's never a moment where the dull moment that goes by where we're not, and we should not be striving. And so that's something that I'm appreciative of this moment, and sharing with our audience of what this means, of why we do it. So
yeah, man, for sure. You know, give thanks for sharing that. You know, because I didn't want to interrupt your flow at all, because like not no pun intended, but it was coming from the heart. It was coming from the heart, and that level of excitement and enthusiasm for life is something that you don't see. Everybody looks like they're jaded by life, and they're trying to convince everyone else that they're not. So they do all of these things that they see are society tells them that these are the markers of a person who's enjoying their lives. You gotta spend all your money on traveling or on external things. You gotta have an Instagram that makes it look like your life is impeccable. Or some sort of social media account where you're really just feeding your whole life story into the algorithm, and that's a whole nother story. But you think that you need these things as markers for life, but you don't stop, like you said, you don't stop and ask yourself, well, why am I here? Why am I alive? Well, you ask yourself that, and you don't sit still long enough for an answer, because there's always something in your ear. There's always a TV show, or there's always something on your phone and stuff. Like, you always like this all day, every day, and you don't really interact with people face to face. You have an intermediary. You have a phone or a screen. Even with conversations like this, which should happen in person, and will eventually be happening in person, face to face. These types of experiences aren't meant to last forever. These are interim, working up to something else. But a lot of people get stuck in the interim and they don't want to move forward. I'm happy in the hallway. I don't have to walk into the, like in the Matrix, that hallway with all those doors. Like, you could choose anything. Like you were saying, you don't really have that level of fear. But that's because it's choice. When you make that choice, there's fear from your body, because your body's like, we in uncharted territory, but you can push through that because you have the heart. You have the heart to keep fighting through that, as opposed to now you're in the hallway with all these doors and you don't know which one to open.
Right.
You know what I mean? But if you have a Morpheus, he's like, I could show you the door, but you're the one who has to open it. And it's like, all right, cool, but you're gonna just keep standing and staring at the door. We don't have, like you said, we don't have the time for that. And that's why we always stress that inside of Anu, it's heavily stressed that you reformation. What's reformation? Chief broke it down. You recognize that you've been malformed based on the life that you live in this society and this culture, and there's a need for you to reform yourself into that original intent. That's that spark that has been placed in your heart before you came here. But you pick up so much. It's like you walk through life like a magnet, and you just keep attracting all of this sediment and filament, and it just keeps sticking to you. And you got to keep, brushing it off.
Right.
What I mean?
Right.
Open up the door. I'll get my...
It's funny. And also it goes back to, because I remember having a conversation with people outside of Anu, and they want to be the smartest one in the room. I love hanging with people that are way smarter than me. I love it.
That's what you're supposed to do.
But you know what? Most people outside, no. I met people. I don't like hanging with those. I got some mad at me now because they mad because they want to be smart. I'm like, no. I love hanging with those that are way smarter than me, including the little ones. It don't matter what age group. It doesn't matter. That's one thing. And then you said something else. I'm trying to remember what when you were just bringing down. You were sharing a moment ago. It'll come back to me. But again, it's about when the Most High pours into you, and most people get stuck. I'll call it neutral. They can't go into drive. They can't go into reverse. They just get stuck.
You're neutral. You try to press gas and nothing happens.
Right. They like, it won't move. Well,
right.
It ain't gonna move. It's not gonna move because you're stuck.
Right. You old people in traffic don't hear you. You old people in traffic don't hear your gears grinding against you. Going,
right.
You hear that? You trying to hurry up fix it.
Exactly. But and so that's why, going back to when you have a community, where we were sharing about that, this is the privilege that we have. And each and every one of us, in Anu, we have our own unique gifts. Right. You have your unique gift, Aki Zach, El Kara. We were just talking about El Kara with the history. I mean, man, if I had to repeat history, I'm gonna be in El Kara's class because I'm like, I love it.
Exactly.
I love his history.
I'll be class. Right there with you.
But look at the and I've used this as an example. Look at the different variations of us. Softer Gertrude's been in my mind for the last couple of weeks, and as long as I hear a voice, I'm cool. And I'm like, yeah, I just So again, every one of us has our own unique gifts. I love Softer Ahava with that smile, but but that military and see the beautiful thing about Softer Ahava, she's a Marine. She's a retired Marine. She weren't in no retired Marine. But we got people from the military. We got all different backgrounds. My point is, all of us have unique gifts that we bring to the table. And we have others coming in that's going to have their gifts. And so having all this and then utilizing this time and connecting with other hearts, like-minded people among us. That's why we love when we have our retreats. Oh my God, I look forward to it because I'm like, yes, our heart. Now, it's funny thing we were saying about the heart. Is your heart in it? We have our heartbeat is the heartbeat of Anu. We're striving to have one heartbeat was regulated by the Most High. So as we're doing that, we can blend together, and then it's sounding synchronized. It just, again, each person being, that's what it was. We're little gods. We're in God's school to be what? Children of the Most High. And then this is what the world needs. They need more, and that's it. They need more like Master. They need you, Master Menyelek. They need El Karar. They need Safta Gertrude. They need Chief Yuyas. Sometimes with people, because and I can say this, if I didn't have to reflect from, I wouldn't be here. So the good thing about all of this, as we share this segment, is that we're sharing it, and also this will touch others. Whereas we're reaching out to others and saying, no, we're all in the same. We're all trying to strive, and we know that it's rough out there. Yeah, it's rough. Dagobah. I'm like, I love Yoda. I love Star Wars. I can manage through Dagobah. I can handle it, but it gets swampy and it's ugly and it smells and everything. I can navigate, but But as we come together, going back to that heartbeat, having one heartbeat, as what Chief strived to do for all of us when he poured into us and continue to pour, and then the Most High pours, and it's like, okay, you have no choice. So again, either the vibration is too much and you can't handle it, which it happens. Some leave, or it's just going to get. It's like a heartbeat. It's going to pound more and louder and louder, and as we are instruments to others outside of Anu, this is what our purpose is. This is why this is Anu Life Global Ministries. This is not like just like you were touching on. This is, this ain't one of those, Billy Bob Thornton's Baptist Church in the cornbread shed. No, this ain't that. When we singing the harmonica, we got El Carrar on the harmonica. The blues brothers. No, this ain't that.
Yeah, well, you know what? You reminded me of there was this clip on social media. It's like a short clip, and this guy was climbing. He's doing some mountain climbing, and like he dropped his phone. I think he was trying to record himself. He dropped his phone. He just let go of the mountain to dive after his phone. And it's like that with we're talking about the chain. You can't climb like in that segment in Vision is saying your heart is so heavy that you can't really sustain yourself on the climb. So it's not that and I think where was it? I'm scrolling back up right there. Abba Yadaram was saying that same passage was talking about some people can't even see the chain, much less grab onto it, much less climb, much less sustain the climb with a heavy heart. You know, and a lot of people, they're like, do it on the mountain. You know, they drop something they think is precious, and they're willing to risk it all for that thing, and you wind up crashing right back down to the soil.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and we were talking earlier too before we got on. I was telling you about that experiment that I thought was fascinating, that the psychologist did on the children.
Yeah.
So there's this concept of the locus of control, and it was the concept was first explored in Western culture. It's credited to Julian Roderick, right? He's a psychologist. When he was still in college, and he'd written a paper on just the ideas on reward versus punishment. And he had this concept of the locus of control where people are either internally centered or externally centered. So people who thought that things like life happened to them and they had to respond to life, they were more externally, they had an external locus of control. That's the way that they saw it, right? And people who thought that based on their performance or how they move, they could determine the course of their own life. And those were people who had a more internal locus of control. And there was this lady, because he was back in the, I think, 1960s. That's when he came up with the idea. That's when he wrote his book about it, his thesis. Like he had a chart, and a lot of people still cite his work. Whether they're dealing with HR or organizational psychology, any type of psychology, they like to cite his work. And there's another lady. This was like in 1998. She was a professor of psychology. Her name was Claudia Mueller. I think that's how you pronounce it. So she did this experiment with some fifth graders where she gathered them together and she had them do like a puzzle, right? A relatively difficult puzzle for all of them to complete. And, well, it didn't matter whether or not they did well or not. She told them all that they did well. And she told half of them the reason they did well was because they were hardworking. And she told the other half the reason they did well was because they were so smart. And then she said, okay, I'm going to have you all do 3 more tests, right? And the puzzles that she gave them were ranging in difficulty from easy to medium to hard. And the ones that were told they were smart, they just went for the easy one, right? They stuck to the easy puzzle. The ones that were told they succeeded because they were hardworking, they went after the hard ones, but they went after everything, honestly. But they didn't shy away from the more difficult puzzles, right? And at the end of the experiment, the children were asked, did you enjoy the experiment? So she asked the smart children. They were like, it's okay, it's all right. It wasn't all that exciting. But she asked the children who were hard workers, quote unquote, and they were like that was the most fun I ever had. You know, it's like they enjoyed the challenge of it. They enjoyed the idea that they were able to achieve something through work, as opposed to being able to achieve something because they were a child of God and God loved them, you know, so they didn't really have to work for anything. And anytime they did anything that was quote unquote bad or wrong, they could just ask for forgiveness and finish right after they finished smoking that cigarette or right after they finished eating that cheeseburger. You know, so it was interesting and eye opening. And what she also discovered was going back to that locus of control, the children who were hard workers, they internalized the idea that I control the flow of my life, you know, based on my actions. And the ones who were told they were smart, they figured, well, I succeeded the first time, but it was through no effort of my own. I'm just smart.
Mm-hmm.
So they developed a more external base, like, well, I was late because traffic, or I was late because the weather was bad, or I didn't succeed in my report because I had so many things going on and my car broke down, and my dog died, my wife left me, and my children don't talk to me. Like, there's always these external things that determine what they were or weren't able to do, as opposed to the hard workers who were like, no matter what, I'm going to be able to push through this because my level of work and my level of discipline determine how far I go. You know, but here it is now in the honor way. We're seeing that whether you think your locus of control is within or whether you think it's without, you know, you have to realize that our outer vision is a product of our inner vision and vice versa. Both central and outward must be directed and guided by a force that is not constricted or that's not constrained to either locus, you know. So you have something that's completely objective in the matter. Mm-hmm. Whether you think you can or whether you think you can't, you're going to strive to do things the best way you can. But you'll have, if you have someone who's an elder, if you have a jegna or someone who's above you, who's looking at you like both of y'all wrong, this because y'all doing the wrong thing. Y'all trying to achieve the wrong thing. So no matter how much effort you apply to this thing, you know, this thing is not really gonna get you the result you think you should get, or whether or not you think external circumstances are stopping you from moving forward in this direction. That's not even the direction you should be going in, and you know it. That's why you're so hesitant to move. You know, so I just wanted to bring up that point as well. I read that it was like a YouTube video. I read a couple of articles. Okay. And I thought it was interesting. You know, I'm gonna keep looking into it. But the word locus, it reminded me of this segment in the Anu way. Mm. You know, having a locus of control or a perceived locus of control, and how that affects what you're willing to do. You know, and one of the questions we did have for everybody is, you know, why do you do what you do? You know, whether you think you're capable or not, there's certain things that we do based on what we think we can control, or what we think we can affect. You know, so personally, I have a certain locus of control where it's a mixture of two. You know, for the most part, it's interior, right? It's internal. I know that if I apply myself, then I can do anything. But being able to do anything is not the same as doing what you're supposed to do. Right. And that's where I got kind of hung up, because I always used to go off of the external where, well, you should do this or you should do that, or don't waste your time doing that, or you should do this based on this. You know, and I had to break away from that. And even the last men's group, the chief was like, does anyone need help? I think we were talking about a battle plan. Does anyone need help? I said, yeah, because I got to recalibrate. You know what I mean? Because it's clear that I was pulling from I wouldn't just say pulling from wrong sources, but I'm working through some sediment and clearing up your mind and doing a reset. It requires that it requires eldership. You know, you're not supposed to be going along because you could just turn from one back alley and wind up at the docks where they're doing a mafia deal or something like that. They doing some illegal drug trade or illegal arms dealing. You know, you don't know where you're going, so just stop and ask for directions from someone who you know is competent. And we have a lot of competent brothers around.
Mm-hmm. It's like when you just asked the question, why do you do what you do? Like you said, the same thing. The challenges. I had to learn to do the same thing. I used to do all my things to myself, and I had to learn to relinquish some of the things that I was doing because my schedule is so busy, and that so I learned to again surrender, relinquish, and I'm still working on that. And so the key when you ask that question, why do you do what you do? Oftentimes what we're doing is, again, you're lessening the burden. Like I said, you're brushing off the sediments, and I think about masonry. You're those rough edges. You're knocking off those rough edges, so that way you're working on a perfection. You're working on not only just clearing off the rough edges, but also you're striving to clean up and build your more positive character. So when I see what I do, like the number one thing is basically everything that I make sure that I'm doing, the Most High is a part of everything. I don't, and that's the thing I notice with people, they exclude that. They'll say, well, I just have the Most High when it comes to prayer. So, okay, well, what about your relationships? What about the Most High? Is he incorporated in your job? Is he incorporated in your interaction with everyone else? See, no. So now it's like, why do I do what I do? Everything is incorporated. So that means if I make an error, say I say something is an error, I have to clean it up. Because what I'm trying to do is, everything, my whole area of my life, what I'm striving is, there's nothing where the Most High is not there. And this goes back to strengthening the light, when that light is resonated in its penetrating the heart, it goes and it builds, and so you again correcting your character. Remember, Chief would always bring that up about character. So yeah, your character may be okay, but you got to get rid of that part. That's because again, if you're going to make it stronger, and you're going to go through correction, you're striving. So
right.
That's a key. You're always working at it. You're always working at it. And so, but again, the reason is I'm striving on the presence of the Most High in my life on earth. In other words, we are walking visible gods. We are the physical presence of the Most High. So that way, when I interact, like if it's my children, or I interact with my Anu brothers and sisters, when I interact with the public, in other words, everything has to synchronize. I should not be. Chief would always put this. Remember, we're Anu men and women. You don't get the luxury like Chief. He's always got to be Chief. There's not a time where he's got to take his Chief hat off and like, okay, I can be Yuya, I can be Herut. No, he's always Chief. He's same thing with us. Yah's presence is always there. It's not a moment where the Most High is not. so that goes back to the question you asked, why do I do what I do? It's because I'm recognizing that my whole mindset, my whole way of living, my whole way of thinking, my whole action of everything I plan and everything I'm doing, is it fulfilling the will of the Most High? Is it His will, not mine? That's another thing. We have to shed that off, because now I'm strengthening my will. I'm strengthening Most High's will in me. So now I have to decrease while the Most High increase.
Right. That brings it to the that celestial ember that we always speak about. You know, that fire that you need to be a lot stronger, because we've been talking about light um, for the majority of the segment. You know, making sure that you get the right light, or you move under the direction of the right light. Even being in rooms where everyone is smarter than you, or you're not the smartest person in the room. You know, so you may not be always giving light. There's someone you're giving light to, and you're not always giving light. There's someone who's, you know, who you're receiving light from, and you're thankful for the grace on either side of the exchange. You know, that makes sure that you stay humble. You know, but through that humility, you realize that there's certain things that you're good at that you thought you weren't, and there's certain things that you're not the best at that you thought that you were. You know, so sometimes it's a matter of again, lack of self-respect, because you don't see yourself, you refuse to reappraise yourself based on how you're moving through. Sometimes you just hold on to things that you always used to do. Sometimes that's the answer to that question. I do this because I always did it. Well, now's an opportunity to change what you always did, or at least evaluate it and see if it makes sense. You know, because you might be like, well, I eat fruits and vegetables and raw food because my family always did it. All right, cool. Now you get a chance to examine that choice and be like, oh, okay, I actually had a good upbringing. I didn't even realize most people grew up on pork chop. And Chief would always make this joke, but it's true, because I used to do the same thing. I used to do it with barbecue sauce, put it on bread. Bread and barbecue sauce. And
I still do.
I used to like squeeze it real hard to like condense the bread so that it is more chewy. It's like just bread and barbecue sauce all day. You know, loaf of bread gone. Yeah, man. But that was one of the questions, and it's a lot. I think it inspires a lot of introspection. And Chief had also charged us to make a list, you know, things that we do, and really look at the source of them, you know, why we do them. You know, that was one of the charges that we had been given. But one of the questions you had brought up is, what do you do when money is not a motive? So you talk about what you do now, and a lot of what I did was because I was stuck in survival mode. You know, a lot of the choices that I made and a lot of moves that I made, it was like, is this or like not eating? So I got to do this, you know, and you start to get into places where, you know, it's not just those two options anymore. You know, when you see you have more options in life, and it's not just based on survival mode, it's like, wow, I have the freedom to choose what my life is going to be, but what's it going to be? You know, but after coming out of the survival mode, I can't picture life without everything I do being motivated by money. You know, so you might get into a space where you're happier. I mean, not happier, but you're less desperate, let's say. But you're still operating like you're desperate, and you don't do things for any other reason than for when you're desperate. And it doesn't have to be like, I know you brought up, like, what would you do with your life if money wasn't an object? And people typically go to what career they would choose, you know. And even that is sort of like money motivated. You say, oh, if money wasn't an object, then I would be an artist.
Right.
I would say you still go for a career as opposed to say like, I went snowboarding and ice skating for the first time in my life last month, and I would be really good at snowboarding because it's fun, but it's real frustrating when you just learn it and you only got one day to try it. The same thing with ice skating. Just to get back at those children who would skate in circles around me and looking me up and down like, you must be new here.
Right, you're in the way. You're in the way.
Right. I had a chip on my shoulder that day. Literally trip children down and things like that. It's like, let me get out of here. Yeah, Bob. But how about you?
Well, you said something about ice. I'm great with ice skating. I can't roller skate. See, I can ice skate and skiing. I love skiing. I haven't been skiing in years, but I love doing that. And I don't like the cold, but that was my way of navigating when it's cold. I'm like, okay, it's cold out. Okay, if I ski, I don't think about the cold. You're thinking about fun. But for me, it's funny. I learned, I have elders and people who got money. And so I've always been around people who, when it came to money, and one thing they always said is like, stop chasing the money. What is your passion? What do you love to do? And so, what for me, it's about when I look at something to do when money's not involved, it's something of service, like the school bus. I like it because I know what I'm doing. I'm serving these youth. The parents put in I'm responsible for getting these children from home to school, school to home. And I had to go through months of training, background checks. We had to go through some, I already knew medical stuff, but they give you, like you and I was shared. We, unlike when I learned about driving the school bus years ago to where it's now, a lot of things have changed. And the industry, so going back to challenges, because go back to the other question you had earlier, it was a challenge. Now I can see why most people give up, because it's a lot to study and the test is not easy. The test is designed for you to fail. So all the CDL people, you gotta study it. All that trying to cheat your way through, that's done. That don't work that anymore. So that was exciting for me, because it's like I knew I was going to drive these kids, but the challenge came out of the work, and then I learned a lot in the classes. Like I was sharing with you the other day, like our children, I work with special needs, and what touched me is some of the children have DNR, do not resuscitate. Now, you might say, what does the driver have to do with that? Because between that child going from school to home, we're privileged, the driver and the monitor are privileged to know that in the event, if something with mom and dad's not there and the school's not there, let's say if an accident occurs. I'm giving this example. There's a packet that comes with the student. And we know automatically, because and by the way, when we have this, we have the student's name, their phone number, everything about them. And sometimes we'll know their disability. But the point is, and this is going back to service, it's like, wow. It's not just you're driving that bus. That child's life is in your hands. Not only you're protecting them, you're not allowed to let no one on the bus. So all this training I'm going through is, and it helped me to understand, like, wow, this, and it goes going back to why I love doing it. Because working with these little people, their hands, their life is in your hands. And I just got a report, and I know I'm about to read it. There was an accident with the school bus, and I haven't read the report, because we get reports like this all the time. It happens around the country, and we don't like hearing that, where a school bus involved and a child gets killed. And it's unfortunate, but that's part of the trauma that goes with the industry. But anyhow, I'm saying this because I'm serving these little ones, making them smile. Good morning. Be careful. Enjoy your weekend. I'll see you Monday.
Mm-hmm.
What do you play? One of them, like, one of them, like, we get the, you do the palm thing. And what game you play? Not Pokemon. He was talking about Minecraft.
Oh,
I know
okay.
that because of my son. My point is, I'm interconnecting with them. So it's not a job to me. It's about serving these little ones. Now, when I used to be a fireman, serving the community, in the event of emergency, I'm called out in the middle of the night, middle of the day to serve. So in other words, I love serving. So one of the things I realized, and this is one of them, is that it's a service.
Mm-hmm.
Going back to the Most High is, I'm serving the Most High, so I'm giving back. And so I add that to it, and that's why I share with people is like, if you're doing a job, even before I retired, I knew I was serving my subordinates. Chief, think about, and it's interesting, and this is the part that humbles me. Chief is serving us.
Mm-hmm.
Chief pours into us when we didn't deserve it. So now when you know that you're doing something that you love to do, Chief loves Anu. He loves it so much. He's like, I'm inviting y'all, but some of y'all go. He had to kick a lot of people out. He had to start from scratch. My point is, he loves Anu. He loves it so much. He wrote books. He wrote segments. So now we're like, oh, shoot. Well, Chief's 20 years, 40 years ahead of us. I ain't trying to catch up with Chief. But what role am I going to play?
But at the same
How am I
time,
going to serve?
he's charged us to catch him up and overtake him. So
yeah.
But he's also described his position pretty similar to yours, because there are certain instances where certain people they have to be removed. You know, it wasn't a situation where the person removed themselves. You know, they're like, I'm just gonna start causing trouble. You know, but he said, I have to make sure that this is an emotionally safe space. Mm-hmm. I can't have people out here lurking, knowing that they're just here to take, you know, and they're just here to sow confusion. You know, because people will do that. People will join an organization just to see if they can bring their dirt along with them. Right. And then when they get comfortable, you know, or when it's not called out, they completely disrespect the place that they just joined. You know, they're one of those people who walk in and don't take their shoes off. Mm-hmm. And they love getting dirt. They're like Rick James. You know, nice place.
Right.
You know what I mean?
They start punching their feet on the white sofa and everything,
and then they try to curse you out on the way out.
Yeah. But you know what humbles me about Chief? Those who left and exit, the public, he does not say anything negative about them in the public. No one can come back and say, Chief, I heard you say, no, you can't. And you know, it's funny you brought that up. It makes me think of a movie while you were sharing. We were talking about Chief. It makes me think of Bruce Almighty. I love the movie with Jim Carrey. It was like, Morgan Freeman played the role of God so well. And I think of Chief. It's like, okay, that's not like you can handle it. By the way, Chief, those prayers in the city, in Miami, those prayers are a lot. He said, those prayers are not Miami. That's just one section of the city. So if your ears are ringing, don't worry about it. But you got this. I'm going to take a vacation. Remember, I think of Aki El Karar, the Renaissance. God takes a vacation. The point is, Chief doesn't get that luxury. Mm-hmm. Not that he wants to. Yes, he would love to. I think about the Most High. Wouldn't the Most High would love it? Like, you know what? I want to take a vacation. Who's going to do my job? Who wants to do my job? Mm. Can you run? Can you make sure the water flows the right direction? Can you make sure the sun rises and sets? Can you make sure all that without hitch? It's got to be on time, though. Can you make sure all this stuff? It may seem easy, but it's not. And then you have to humble, like you said, you have to humble yourself, and like even the tasks that we are called to do. even when we mess up.
Right.
I messed up, Chief. Wow, I really messed up.
Right. And that's one of the key things about what we've been sharing. Asking someone if their heart is in it is not the same as asking someone if they like what they do.
Right.
If your heart is in it, you're going to do things that you hate to do, but you know they need to be done in order for everything to keep moving and keep flowing.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? There's a lot of things that people would rather do, you know, and it's not because we were built a certain way. Like we are built different, you know. The people who are in this space, we move a little different than the average person, you know. But it's not because, oh well, like people always tell me, oh you're good at drawing because you're an artist.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's because I'm an artist, and at heart, I took the time to practice and study how to draw. You know, there's a difference. You know, no one can go to Chief and be like, oh, you're a great musician. That's why you can play the guitar so well. You know, you gotta put your hard work and study into it, and you try to diminish other people's hard work because you don't feel like working.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody feels like working.
Right.
There was anecdote that someone had told. They had given a TED talk. This English gentleman, he by the name of Sir Ken Robinson, and he was telling a story about his brother who was a musician, and one of his bandmates would play the keyboards. So they had I think they had lunch or dinner after the show, and he was like, "Oh, I love what you were doing with the keyboard. I thought it was fantastic. I really wish I was able to do that." And he's like, "I wish I was able to do that." And he's like, "No, you don't." So he say, I was a little taken aback because I thought I was an authority over what I want to do. And he's like, if you wanted to be able to do it, you'd be doing it. I practice 8 hours a day. I barely sleep. I'm always studying music. Like, I want to be able to do this. You know what I mean? He had to realize, like, yeah, it's the amount of work you put into it. You know, it's not just you have talent. You know, it's not just that you have talent. It's that you put your heart and soul into something that you know it's in you and you're trying to bring it out. You know, it's already been put in you. That sediment that you were talking about, the things that you pick up. You know, that's the thing. Muhammad Ali has this clip where he says, someone's asking him, what's the most important part of your training? You know, and he's like, the most important part of my training is dodging the nightclubs and dodging women and being in bed by 9 p.m. alone. It's like, that's the most important. People think it's like jumping rope or running miles or hitting the bag. It's like, nah, it's making sure that you don't get caught up with all of this other stuff that's going on out here that's going to distract you. You know, I thought that was really, it's what a lot of young people need to hear, especially young men.
And it's funny, you just said when you're called to do something that you don't like to do. I can vouch for that. I can say this. I do not like being the boss, the leader of Black people. I had to do it for 20-some years. I hated it.
For real?
But the funny thing about that, I didn't realize it until later, though. It took me a long time to get it because I'm a late bloomer. I don't get stuff right away. It takes the time to see. That's why the Most High is patient with me, because I didn't get the lessons right away. I got the lessons, but I didn't understand the answer until after, and that was serve them, even if you don't like them. Don't judge. Don't be. You know how people, they have attitudes and they have attitudes and they don't. Then they don't. They're not appreciative, and they'll stab you in the back and everything. And I had to go through all that. And but it helped me going through that and watching Chief do what he does. it helped me, and this going back to being someone smarter in the room than you. It keeps me, and it's still this day. It reminds me of when the Most High had me do something that, and that's just one. That was one of the major ones. But to do things that I didn't like, I again, it's going back to trust. And that's how I understand about trust. And then also the key, obedient. If the Most High asks you to do something, will you do it? Mm-hmm. Going back to your heart. When I served those, so what helped me was you're serving them. Even if they're not listening or not, you're serving them. Now, was there some good came out of it? Yes. I can go back and I visit and they remember, and like, I remember you, they'll tell me, like, oh, dang, I forgot about that. Mm-hmm. Like my bus driver forgot. I forgot I taught that lesson 10 years ago. So I get that. So now that's how the Most High is like, that's why I had you there. Because I knew if I can send you somewhere, just like Chief was sent to us. And as he was sent to us, and not to us, but it's like, okay, we're harvesting now. Let's see who's ripe. Nope, we got to put this back in the ground. They ain't ready yet. And he's got to keep what? Harvesting.
Right.
He's got, this one, no, that heart, it's too rough. Can't bring that on you. It's going to contaminate the whole damn space. So,
and the heart is such an important aspect of it, because it doesn't matter, like all of us came in, all of us still messed up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like we can be on these segments sounding smart as I don't care. We all messed up and we all working on getting right, but we a lot less messed up than we were when we came through the door. What mattered was our willingness to commit to actually making those changes and having a better character. What mattered was the heart. Wasn't how smart we were, because none of us was as smart as we thought we were.
Right.
None of us were kind as we thought we were. We weren't as committed as we thought we were. All of that had to go at the door. We had to really be willing to look at our own reflections. You know what I mean? It's like, The Devil's Advocate?
Yeah. Favorite movie.
With Keanu Reeves.
Yeah.
You saw at certain points you would see like the face would morph into like demons.
Yeah.
Some of our faces look like that in the mirror, and we didn't like it. A lot of us left. A lot of us had to get thrown out because we didn't want to admit that the person in the mirror was how we actually looked. We were so sure that we were clean and straight, and that's the problem over there. That's the problem over there. That's that external locus of control. All of these other things outside of me is why I'm so messed up. It's not me. It's everything else. You know what I mean? So it's really just understanding that it's the heart that matters. If you have a heart that wants to get right and wants to contribute and wants to be devoted and wants to actually use what the Most High has put inside of you to actually affect some change, as opposed to just sitting back and taking and taking and taking. Like you're not gonna have the luxury of just sitting at a computer consuming all day. That clock, I can't hear the grandfather clock in the background, but the clock is still ticking. And you got to get right and get yourself straight, because things are getting a lot more crazier than they are getting sane. And just because you have a sane space, doesn't mean that once you get in, there's no work. That's like on a scale of F to A, that's like a D- in terms of difficulty. Getting in isn't really all that difficult. You just gotta be authentic and have a heart and a mind
and stay the course.
To give.
And stay the course.
I mean? And be willing to be corrected and study. Like you have that willingness, you could stay the course, but your heart has to be in it. If your heart ain't in it, and you come in for all kind of funky reasons, or you think you could bring something to yourself, or like get close to the chief, like ask him more direct question. Nah, it's nothing like that. You're coming in to serve. This is service based. You know what I mean? And if you're not willing to have that fire in your belly, then you're not really going to grow. You're not going to change. You know, that fire is supposed to purify you. It's not supposed to be there so you can sit around it and warm your hands.
Right.
You know, it's like, throw some more wood on. You know,
right.
It's warm. This fire feels nice. Nah.
Right.
Someone's going to kick you in the small of your back. You're going in the fire. And the only thing that's going to come out is the truth of what you are. Everything else is going to burn away. You know, you got to be willing to go through that fire. Otherwise, you ain't going to make it.
Mm-hmm. And that's the part where the Most High, sooner or later, your heart's going to be has to be remolded.
Mm-hmm.
And you said something you were sharing as you were sharing. Some of us fail to forget the devil's still here. That dark energy, that dark craziness is still here. We think, most people in the world think that, oh, the devil's outside. No, it's right there. It's close to your jugular vein. It's close to your heart. So if you don't work at subduing that darkness in you, if you don't work on subduing it will subdue you. It will control you. It will supplant, it will reverse the effects what the Most High did, and then that's where we get the 85%ers. So each and every one of us, and I knew, we understand and we're learning, oh, the devil's still there. It's right. Oh, it talks to you every night. It sleeps with you. It goes to work with you. It meditates with you. It knows the Bible scriptures better than you do. But the question is, who's in control? Most of us, that devil in us is still control. It still says, "Oh no, I don't want to eat. I'm gonna eat me a pork chop. Don't worry about it. Chief can't see over here. It don't matter. Yah sees it. The Most High sees it. You think you're gonna hide your devilishness from the Most High? Going back to what Akizak was saying, you gotta have balance. I love it when Chief broke it down. I'm still meditating on that. There has to be a level of balance. If not, if you take that balance away, one is going to override the other. It's that simple. Right. And that's where the balance of the heart comes in.
Yeah, for sure. Imaniah says, things I'm doing now are because I'm striving to be better. Some things I have no desire to do at all, but they are necessary for growth and improvement. Yeah. You know, the things that you're instructed to do in this space is all for growth and improvement. You know, no one tells you to do anything to torture you.
Right.
You know what I mean? No one's that sadistic. Even if they were, that's no fun. You know, someone has to do something and they ain't got no choice. Like, nah, you're not that special if you think someone's just gonna take control of your life. It's like, so you mean I can't do nothing? You know, I'm a grown. I want to be able to do what I want. Like, what you mean I gotta wrap my hair up? You know, see that? That's just a controlling thing. You just think you dominant. That's the thing. You know,
that devil in them. Have a nice conversation. Yes, that's what you're sharing. That's that. I ain't wrapping my hair.
Right.
I'm not going to eat. No, I'm going to eat my scrimps.
Right.
I'm going to eat my lobster. God knows my heart. See, y'all don't understand. I knew y'all don't understand. Chief, y'all don't understand. God knows my heart. Yeah, we know it too. It's called you're a skank. You're dirty. You're foul. I can smell you across the street. You ain't gonna work. It ain't and you ain't gonna come in this space and contaminate. Let me tell you how smelly it smells. Take some meat, since you like eating meat anyway. I ain't mad about it. It ain't about not meat, but let's take some meat. Let's take some beef. Put it in a room, 90 degrees, and close the door. And go back a week later and see how funky that smell comes. That's us when your heart is rotting. Your body is rotting. Because why? No one can tell me what to do. I'm going to wear this skirt, but you're married. You're covered. But you're showing your body parts. And I'm like, I'm salivating. I'm not even at the buffet. but I'm salivating because your butt is showing your body parts, but you're covered. Does that make sense? Oh, he knows what I wear. Oh, really? So now you're disrespecting him, and because now we're talking about covering. So now he tolerates because one, he ain't right. He's trying to master his demons, because as soon as he's finished with you, he gonna go and smoke some loud, because he can't deal with your loud mouth. So guess what? That's why you're crazy, deranged, strange. That's why. And you're gonna die that way. Crazy, deranged, without a man, because no one can tell you what to do. You're gonna do it anyway. Go right ahead.
It goes right back to that question that you had asked earlier. Where's your heart?
Yeah.
Where's your heart? If you had a heart for that man, no one would have to tell you how to move. You would be able to look at the man and be like, okay, this is clearly what he's on. Either you get out of the way, or you move the way that he moves. Why can't I move the way I move? Why can't it be 50-50? It's like, nah, you under his covering. Move the way that he moves. And if you can't do that, if you don't have the heart to move under the principles he's moving with, assuming that he has principles to begin with, why would he be with you if he didn't? Right? So even on the men's part, you gotta have principles. You gotta have a code that you stand on, and it's hard to do that when you're alone. Chiva talked about the dangers of brotherhood deprivation. You don't have no brothers you're surrounded with, and then you go out and you just bring home whatever, because you don't have anyone to tell you, yeah, that girl looked like a big toe. You need to, move on to the next one. Or that girl, oh, I know that girl. She, don't mess with her. She don't care about nothing but money. How are you building? What kind of bricks are you putting in your building? And it's difficult to do that if you don't have other brothers around you to say, that won't fit. That she's not up to standard. You don't have any brothers around you to say, he's not up to standard, sister, get another one. You don't have a father to say, no, this isn't how we move. To him, because he's supposed to be coming to him. All of these different things, they've already been done away with systematically, to where there's no man in the home. There's a study done. I don't even call it a study. It's like a short documentary in 1986 called The Vanishing Family. Should have been called The Vanishing Black Family. I think that's what it's called. But it was I think it's like a CBS sort of documentary. And he's just talking about he's following some people through New Jersey. And he has a group of young sisters who are like, he says, who here wants to be married? And only one girl raised their hand. It's like, who wants to be married to the father of their child? Only one of them raised their hand. Because they're all single mothers, quote unquote. Even though the state takes care of them. Because they all eat off of welfare. And in order to have welfare, they have to get the man out of the house. It's nothing, like we were saying earlier, it's nothing new. It's history, but it keeps repeating itself. The state's going to take care of you as long as you get rid of the man. But they leave out the part where I'm your man now. Like the Captain Phillips, look at me. I'm the captain now. They leave out that part. So now they're driving the boat, but you don't know where the hell they're going. You're just comfortable.
Right. You're just navigating in uncharted waters, and y'all just moving. You just, well, where are you going? I don't know. I'm just taking where the wind takes us. Really?
Right, man. So
but that's how
you
it
gotta
is.
you gotta have your heart invested in something, and gotta tap into that vision. And it's hard to do that when it's so loud on the outside, that you start blaming the outside for why you can't do anything with your internal. You know, and this is what the Shabbat time is about. It's stepping away from the external, going to the internal, and like plugging back into that original purpose, that original vision that you were given. Because some people can't remember what they wanted to do when they were young. Like how you could still recall third grade being on the bus. A lot of people can't remember what happened yesterday.
Right.
You know, because they don't take the time to unplug from the external stimuli. You know, so learn how to unplug and tap into that vision. You know, focusing on your locus of control and realizing that you're dealing with an external environment that's geared towards your destruction. It's trying to destroy you. You know, Chief had touched on this like in a couple of segments. Like the mission hasn't changed. Steal, kill, and destroy. All day, every day. That's their mission. You know, and our mission is just to reform.
Yeah.
You know, reformation, going back to what we were originally created to do. Reformation, elevation. You know.
Exactly, and just keep going and on. And
yeah, man.
You know, we know that most people are not going to listen. That's okay. I accept that. But then I keep hearing stories every day about this youth or this young man or that young girl or something like, wow, they just need a mentor.
Right. And I know it's rough for you on your side. Because sometimes I hear stories and it's like, wow, that could have been avoided. But for you, that must be like times 100.
Yeah, but you know what? I'm talking to someone right now, and I'm like, you know what? I got to come to retreat. Come to retreat. I invite. Going back to loving going back to your heart is in it. We have a solution. Coming into Anu, or the Most High bringing me to Anu, because I didn't come into Anu on my own mind. I was searching. I was searching for an answer. I was searching for a solution. I called out to the Most High, and that's how the Most High brought me to Anu. Simple as that.
Right.
Because it did. I mean, you don't. When you see something like what we do in Anu, it's not out there. It's not. And I know that for the most part, for most people, if they saw a smidgen of what we do, they'll be here. They'll be here. Yeah, they raggedy. Yeah. You know, I ain't talking about the ones that are gonna line up and their heart gonna drop because that feather is like, no, the hell with them. No, don't even. No, I'm just joking. There are some that ain't gonna. That's fine. That's fine. Yeah. Because guess what? Stay your raggedy butt over there. That's fine. The world loves you. But then you have those that I talk about Anu with people coming, and I'm like, you know what? And the key is the youth, because I'm not thinking about me. This is not about me. It's about someone that needs something. They need some encouragement. They need they lost hope. I run into people that I'm like, you know what? This is what you do. And it so happens so randomly, it's like, wow, I didn't expect this. But then that's how it is. And so that's why I can share Anu, I can share this. And so what I do is I share them, like I send them a segment or something, like, okay, then after that, let's talk about it. And then from there, let's build from there. And just like what we do, like the courting, I love sharing different segments, you know, like the solution. That solution is powerful. That's why I had to go back into looking and divulging, because there's so much in there. Going back to, again, culture. When I explain to Black people, your culture is bastardized. It's made for you because when we fell from grace, the Most High is not, we call out. So now the Most High hears our cry. And so we are, each and every one of us, to be beacons to those who are crying out in the wilderness. And as we, again, can we hear those legitimately crying? Not the ones that are, not the heathens. Well, we're all heathens, excuse me. But I understand when someone's crying out, and I'm like, here, you know what, here. And then it's really, I can see it's working. And I'm like, okay, like I have to share those who those who are looking at Anu from our segments, from Chief's years and years of teaching. Just letting you know that if you get an opportunity to come to the Anu retreats, you don't understand, that's usually not open to the public. Chief has never done it. But I'm understanding why Chief's doing it. It's like the Most High is communicating with Chief. That's one. And secondly, as that cry is coming out from the wilderness, those who do privilege to come, you're going to see. But you still got to go through a process. Like I was sharing, no, there's still a process. You ain't in. You just getting to see what we're about. But there's still a process. And you may not make it. But if you're willing to be truthful to the Most High, and I say this because it was about me. I'll be honest with you, and I can say this. When I put my papers in Anu, I was surprised, and I'm still surprised. Damn, I'm in Anu. This is after studying Anu 2 years with Chief, because when my Baba, before he passed, and I was studying Chief, and it's like, I'm still amazed. And when we went through our truth session, I really feared. Now, I'm going to tell you about fear. Mm-hmm. Going back to Sabbath, Abba, Ahava, and Akoti Morea did last strong. Let me tell you what I feared. I feared being kicked the hell out of Anu. Real talk. Now, I said I didn't fear. No, I got fear. But you know why? Because going back to your heart, I recognize why I'm here. And I recognize that I'm not here to just take. I'm here. What are you putting into it?
And you did, like, you got on it. You know, right after it's like, okay. And you did what you did everything you were told, everything you were corrected on. You started making those changes.
Because the damn fear was in me. The fear was in me. It's either you gonna do it or don't. It's simple. It's very simple. You either do it or don't. Or bye-bye.
Right.
It's simple. What? That's it. Now, I'll be honest with you. I didn't think doing it, and still can say that. Because I'm not always there. I'm striving still. I'm still desiring. I'm still reaching to the Most High. Going back to Obata of that chain. Right. Obata, can you lower it just a little bit? I've been climbing it, but damn it, I keep sliding back down the chain because it's like putting grease on this chain. I'm like, what's going on? So now we're like, damn.
That's shrimp grease. That's
that shrimp grease. Yeah, see,
that's cocktail sauce.
Exactly. So it's not like a done deal. Like, okay, you can't get kicked out. Don't harden your heart and think you're gonna outsmart the Most High.
Right, and don't harden your heart thinking it's gonna make the effect of what I think is inevitable.
Exactly, that it can't happen.
Think less. You know, exactly. Some people do that too. Like, I'll kick myself out before I get kicked out because I figure I'm doing it anyway.
Exactly. So it's not like, oh, I'm in it. I'm sure. No, hell no. I don't think like that. Because why? I'm striving. Can you get kicked? Yes. If Michael can get kicked out, if he can kick out a whole bunch of black people, because I know I'm like, yeah, I figured it out. The Most High had to kick out all these black people. They still waiting for food stamps. They still waiting in line, getting their stimulus check. It's still, you gave us a stimulus check last year. I've been doing good. I don't eat pork, but I eat pork and beans. I mean, come on, y'all. You gotta meet me halfway. We still talk like that. Like that. I'm like, really? Really?
Yeah, you still thinking of that that external model of something being outside of you affecting how your life goes. You know, even though the book that you claim to read said is in you, it's right there inside of you. You don't have to look outside to know what he or to nothing. It's right there inside of you. So whatever you think you hiding is like,
it's going to be exposed.
yeah,
Whatever you're hiding,
like, you ever
it's
see
gonna
a child
expose.
try to hide something from you unsuccessfully, and they do such a horrible job that you can't even be mad at them. You can only laugh. It's like that. It's like, come on, we see you. Chief would always say, like, knock it off. We see you. Come on, good player. You know, because it's almost comical until you start getting niggerish.
Right.
And then it's not funny. It's not funny anymore because it's annoying and sad. It's not even something that makes you mad. I know you mad at me. I'm not even mad. I'm kind of disappointed that you think that what you're choosing right now is gonna benefit you in any way. You know, because you're going off of those emotions. You're going off of that feeling or that external feeling. You want me to be mad at you because then you feel less stupid about destroying a beautiful experience for yourself and an opportunity to grow. You want me to be mad at you because then you can say I was being cruel, or I was being mean, or I was bullying you, or I picked on you, or I singled you out. And there's none of that. You singled yourself out by showing your backside to everybody.
Right.
And now I'm telling you, pull your pants up and you're getting defensive.
Right. That's why Miss Menyelek, in some areas like New York, Chicago, why windy, cold, heart cold, dark. That's why. Reflection. The people are a reflection of their God. They're cold, windy. The cold temperature can drop real quick. But that's the part. When someone is not resonating with the Most High and warming the heart, raising the vibration. Again, it's not my will. It's funny when people say that. It's like, well, Lord, not my will, but your will. Okay, I will for you not to eat that pork chop. Lord, can I eat it? Because reason I'm asking, can I eat it? Because I asked you to bless it. I love. Oh my gosh, that throws me off. A table full of poison, and Lord, I want you to bless these ribs and this pork chop and this not hot dog sandwich, but this shrimp potato salad and don't forget the crack cocaine is over in the corner that Junebug and them brought, because you know we can't forget him and that pitcher of Kool-Aid.
Yeah,
all that damn sugar.
Sprinkle some crack on it.
And we sprinkle some crack, right? Dave Chappelle sprinkle some crack on it, and it's like, Lord, I'll give it to you, but let us eat. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what the hell is wrong with y'all?
And may it nourish our bodies.
Right. With diabetes, nourish your bodies with diabetes, heart attacks, diabetes, heart condition. All kinds of health issues.
Right. But that's the thing too. Like you can't just look at it from one lens. Your heart, yes, it's a realm and it's that seat of intelligence, but it's also a muscle. You know what I mean? And it's something that you can train to get stronger, but you don't train it to get stronger by traumatizing it. You know, and working it super hard. You know, it's in your heart. Cholesterol is in your heart.
Yeah.
Because you're not treating your body well.
Right.
You know, you're not treating your body well. You're not paying attention to what your body is telling you, to the blood flow that's going on, the blood that's getting to your brain. You know, it's none of that. It's just, I want to eat. That smells good. It tastes good. It makes me feel good. So I'm going to eat it. That's like a zombie.
Yeah.
You might as well be out there eating brains. If brains tasted good, people would eat it.
Oh my gosh.
They would season that. Like the seasoning is what makes food taste good anyway.
Oh God. You just made me think about that. I'm like, Yeah, the Puerto Rican dishes with the brain. Oh God, we ain't get to the cow tongue yet. Oh gosh.
Oh yeah.
Liver.
Yeah, people eat sheep tongue over there.
Huh?
People eat sheep tongue, pig feet.
They don't eat no sheep. No, is it a cow tongue? It's mostly the cow.
Oh, but in Chicago?
Oh no, in the United States. See, when you're in the United States, we are so abundant with evil and junk. That's why obesity is on the rise. Obesity, I have never seen it this bad, and it's getting big. The chairs are getting bigger. The wheelchairs are getting bigger.
Yeah.
The motor scooters are getting wider.
I'm still surprised that y'all have they're like complimentary when y'all go in the stores, right? And y'all get mega stores over there. Like oh, you look like you want one of these scooters? Yeah, you can ride around all day. Don't worry about it. Don't even take gas. Don't worry about it. That's crazy.
It's a common thing now. I remember it wasn't, but now it's so common. And going back to your heart, so now your heart you're obese. You're weighing 400 something pounds or 300 something pounds, and your heart has to produce the blood during all of the excess that you've been adding on.
Right.
And it keeps adding on over and over to the point where you don't think that your obesity, and again, you're far away from the Most High, because you're a mountain, or you're an Escalade. You're really.
Yeah. So moving, how do you move with the heart? You know, for those who are saying, okay, I hear what you brothers are talking about. How do I start moving in a more righteous direction? You know, we spoke about certain things that you can do in terms of ensuring that you take the time to step back and tap into that vision. You know, you can look at some of the things that you're currently doing and addressing those and why you're doing it. Some of the things that you're committed to, relationships that you have, anything that's in your life. And you got a question like, if you're doing it because you're used to doing it, it's like a carryover from a survival mode, or are you doing it because it's actually life-giving, right? It can only be one of the two. Either you were in survival mode and you got addicted to certain things that you ate because you thought you had to eat it. Like people still eat chitlins and things like that. It's a throwback to generationally you got addicted to, it was in your blood. You know, these were things that your ancestors ate because they felt they needed to eat it or else they'd starve to death. You don't have to keep doing that because you're no longer in that bad of a survival mode. You know, but look at where you're at now and see if you are in survival mode and how to start moving away from that. You know, as opposed to trying to prolong it. And I know it's rough because I've been there. Like I grew up in survival mode. You know what I mean? And there are certain changes that you can make. Like I stopped eating meat in survival. You know how rough that is?
Yeah.
when
I can imagine.
All you can eat is cheap food. I used to eat ramen noodles by the cases. Like it ain't meat. I might as well be eating candle wax. But it's just a matter of I'm going to commit to this thing. And I'm going to do everything in my power to stay convicted to it. And you'd be surprised how many doors open. You know, but if you keep saying, I'm not going to do it because I have an external mindset instead of an internal mindset that says, I've been given all of the strength and all of the tools that I need. You know, you recognize that you have a lot of access to a lot more tools than you think. You know, when you start to move with that level of sincerity and lightheartedness. And that's really tough to do when you're moving in survival mode because you're always thinking about the next thing. What's the next thing? What's the next thing? Okay, I got this power bill. Okay, I got this water bill. I got to pay this phone bill. How am I going to keep the lights on? You know, how am I going to pay for my children's school fee? Or how am I going to pay my mortgage? You have all of these earthly concerns and you forget about the internal space. You forget about your heart. You know, your heart gets burdened and you start to get bitter instead of stepping back and saying, all right, certain things I'm paying for, I really, not even that I don't want to pay for, I don't even need them. I really don't need this iPhone right now. And if I do have an iPhone, I should at least put it to work, because the only good thing about it is the camera. Everything else I can have on another phone.
Right.
I don't really need an iPhone for this other stuff. Camera's good, so let me start doing something with this camera. If I don't have it for the camera, then I can get something smaller. So there are certain changes that you can make, and making those small changes, they add up more than you think they do. But having that external mindset, again, saying, oh, well, I won't make a small change because something else is just going to take the place of, whatever I get rid of, something worse is going to take the place of it. As soon as I pay this power bill, my phone is going to shut down. Or as soon as I pay this phone bill, my car is going to break down. You have this negative mindset because you think that the world is out to get you. Something external is controlling what happens to you. But it's that law of correspondence. Your external and your internal are linked, and it's up to you to impose that sort of will as to what it's going to be. And it's way easier said than done. But it's a lot easier done than you think it is. If you have that defeated mindset.
Right. The first thing that people have to understand, or do you desire it? I mean, change is not going to happen until you desire it. It's one step at a time. It's a matter of what do you desire? And again, so it's about building. So another thing is your association. If you're surrounded with people who are negative, well, one, you're not going to move in the direction where the Most High is going to have you, because one, your association, whoever you're associating with, is going to contribute. So that means, are you willing to separate from them? Well, that knocks out most people, because they're not going to do that. Well, then you're not going to succeed. So then the areas would be who you associate with, like us. We are among each other. So there's ain't no room for you're gonna be able to hide here. But if you're around your peers, your peer devils, demons, oh hell, you're gonna give in, you're gonna fit in. But now if you're gonna do this, now they're gonna call you out your name. You with that our new group? Aren't they a cult? They talking about they don't eat shrimp. Ain't no man gonna tell me nothing. I'm like, oh, see, again, that demon in your mind, that's your girl. But after a while, that can't be your girl anymore. Because, by the way, that girl don't have no man. So your association, are you going to be or dude, are you going to keep being around him that smokes loud all damn day? Because sooner or later, you're going to have to let the stuff go. The problem is, once you let that go, yes, it can be a lonely life when you separate from the world, because they're going to look at you as crazy. But I forgot, don't people go to church and they say a person called JC, his initials is JC, and he was rejected. It amazes me, because on Esther's coming up, and they're going to celebrate Palm Sunday. And JC is going to be riding on an ass. And the next week, he's going to be crucified. And y'all read that story over and over again, and you'll forget that's you. And the question is, well, JC could do it, but you can't? No, I can't, because, see, God knows my heart. You don't understand, Master Menyelek. God knows my heart. He knows I'm striving. Yeah, but who you around? Are you around anyone positive then?
But that's the thing. The sacrifice was made for me. So why do I have to make a sacrifice?
Because in order for you to make that sacrifice, you can't. If you don't make that sacrifice, then you'll suffer the consequences. And you don't strive, so guess what? The 85 sinners, it's the 85 percenters. I said 85 sinners. The 85 percenters, they're comfortable. As they say, misery loves company. Yeah.
Yeah, but it even goes back to that verse where he said, if the tree be evil, let it produce evil. If the tree be good, let it produce good. You know, you know the tree by its root, by its
right.
fruit. So all you need is you need to really find that good fruit. And
right.
like you said earlier, you harvest it. You know, and that's what we're moving in right now. It's not just a season of harvest, though. It's a season of getting on one accord and communing with one another. Dealing with the ideas of right thinking, you know, and righteous culture, and moving in a victorious mindset. You know, these are the charges that we were given for this time, and that's what we're gonna keep moving on. You know, if you want to move on that same vibe, then sure. You know, just sign, like the link is in the description. It's in all the descriptions. You know, the Anu way is there. So if you're confused about anything, comment on the videos. You know, download the book, read it, and if you really are invested or interested, see if this is something that you can invest your whole heart into. You know, if your heart is in it or if it's not in it, you'll be able to know by actually reaching out and interacting. But you can't sit on your own and have this fantasy in your head of how it's going to play out. You know, you gotta get the real by interaction.
Right. Like life is not a one island. You know, people think that being with the Most High is it's an individual thing that is like, oh, I don't need to be in a community. That's not how it works. That's not how it works. And again, if you're striving, the Most High will, most people, I think the problem comes up is that they don't know where to start. That's okay. Well, start by first cleaning your life up. It's that simple.
It's as simple as making a small change at a time. You could start form good habits as you get rid of your bad habits.
Right.
You wake up, make up your bed.
Right.
You'd be surprised at being consistent at one thing, dedicated at one thing. You look at other things and be like, okay, I can see myself doing that for a prolonged period of time. You know, just start developing your self-discipline. You know, do small things, take small steps. You know, take big steps.
Right.
But you gotta make a change. If you keep doing things the same way you're doing them, there's nothing that's gonna switch up. You know, and I'm gonna get to the chat, and then we can head out. Wow, it's been 3 hours. Okay.
Oh wow.
Yeah, give thanks for everyone hanging in there. Just go to the chat. I'll be out around doing Shima and all now. Yeah, that was for you, Abba. You know, from that fear of being kicked out to doing the Shabbat bill. Yeah, man. So it's just a level of what did you do? You just change the way that you move, one thing at a time.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you're not gonna always know. That doesn't matter. The Most High understands you don't know. Are you willing to do something that you didn't know before? Yes. Are you open? Surrender. Open up.
Right. Yeah, because there's that desire for control too. I want to control the situation. Even if I fail, I want to control how I feel. You know, that is how my cow disease spread after. Oh, you're talking about eating brains. That's how mad cow disease spreads. After the prime cuts are cut, they would take the leftover parts and mix it into the meat and bone meal and feed it to the remaining cattle. That meat and bone meal would contain brain matter. So if there was a sick cow, it would pass to a healthy cow and also essentially turn them into cannibals. Yeah. They still do that with a lot of leftover meat. It's called hot dogs. So if you ever look up how hot dogs are made, all of the meat that they don't consider prime cuts, they just blend them up. They put them in a slurry. They pack them into those little
I used to be a butcher,
skins,
so yes,
and they feed them.
I remember making As a kid, I was a teenager. I was a butcher, so I remember learning that. Yes, and it's interesting. It is interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, struggle food. But it's a delicacy. Imanaya says, good point. Seasoning makes food good, but you don't have to season a peach or apple, straight from the tree, or anything raw. We played outside all day and not going in because we ate off the trees and drank water. Yeah, from the water hose.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep, water hose. Yep.
I don't know how clean your water was.
I remember the water hose.
That's just me though. I'm suspicious of USA water from the top. Yeah, but we about to head out. Definitely appreciate everyone riding through with us, and sharing in the chat, and building with us. What's next? We got Ima Yakira Eden coming in. I almost said tomorrow, but it is technically almost tomorrow. But first day, Sunday at 12 on Clubhouse. She is going to be leading and facilitating the build, which is, it's going to be good. We
You froze up a little bit, Master Menyelek. Yeah. It's okay. I got you.
Can I be heard?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Yeah. Your photo is still froze. I can hear you. We can hear you.
Uh-oh, it's choppy. It's coming back.
You're okay now.
Struggling. I'm okay now?
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah.
Oh, it's still in and out.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay.
We can hear you. You can hear you. Well, Master Menyelek's having technical difficulties, so he was just reading about we're for Sabbath. As we're preparing for our rest. Now Sabbath, we're preparing for it, and here it comes, coming back in. There you go. I was covering for you.
Okay. All right. Cool. Well, go ahead. Take us out. Take us out, Abba.
Yeah. So I thanks. I want to give thanks again for everyone sharing and joining us. I know it's been a long day, and we're charged to, as Aki Zak would say, be anew. That's what we're charged to. Be anew within yourself. So we give thanks. This is Sabbath, and Shabbat Shalom to everyone, and we hope you have a peaceful rest, and we'll see you next time. Next program.
Shabbat Shalom. Give thanks. Give thanks.
Thank you, Master Menyelek. I give thanks to you as well, and also to everyone. And give thanks.
Yeah, man.